disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well. Hey, welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast, broadcasted to you live from the True North. It's a good friend, Mr. BDA. And boy, oh boy, do we got a lot to talk about here on this episode. Let me tell you, before we get down to the fun, fellas, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. Let's get the business out of the way. You know the drill. If you want to keep the gravy train rolling, you can wire a couple of shekels or wavy the super chat feature. But of course, it's better if you join the membership program. That way you get something in return more, badges, emojis, film analysis. But of course, the most important thing is that you continue to like and subscribe and to listen to the show, fellas. Always appreciate your support that way. That's the most important part. And to spread that BDA gospel, all right, fellas? Let's give a shout out to everybody in the chat room. Brain Rats, KO Power, Jesus M, Rafael Garcia, shout out to Rafael, SSC, Terry O. Conman, Shadow Combat, Eparokua MMA, Official Scorecard Boxing, shout out to Official, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Jesus M, shout out to Jesus M, and more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, you can check us out on Spreaker, iTunes, and Spotify at your leisure. All right, fellas. Like I said, thanks again for joining us. I got the Guns, Gonzalo, and Jimmy joining us. Jimmy, Gonzalo, how you guys doing?
Yo.
Being on. All right, fellas, let's start out with the Fundora fight, because that was the most significant one and the most entertaining one, dare I say. Fundora ended up beating Lubin in what was a fairly entertaining bout, especially that 7th round. Should be an early candidate of the year. They both hurt each other. Lubin dropped Fundora. But ultimately, the lanky Fundora was too much. First of all, let me get this straight with you guys. Did I just read correctly this morning that 2 of the judges had Fundora winning? And if so, do you guys agree or disagree with it? Or who did you have winning the fight?
Up until the time of the stoppage, I had Fundora winning the fight for sure. He was landing by far the most shots and the more meaningful shots, as far as I'm concerned.
Gonzalo, how about yourself too? And is it crazy for those 2 judges to have him up?
No, because he's the pressure fighter that throws punches and bunches. I know he's lanky, but he's still.
What I'm saying is 2 of the judges had Lubin winning the fight.
Lubin, crazy. His punches, his punches were fewer and farther between, but they were stinging. He really picked his shots and they were hurting. Like when he dropped Fundora, you could tell that he selected his punches, and then the punches that he did throw had a lot of sting on them. So it's not crazy, but yeah. I wasn't counting round by round because I was watching, was it Ryan on the other screen? I was wasting my time with this one. Well, I should have been concentrating on this one fully.
Exactly.
That was a good fight, but yeah.
Yeah, this was a better fight. And by the way, I was wrong. 3 judges, all 3 judges had Lubin ahead. 2 of them, Steve Weisfeld and Moretti. We're going to get to those guys eventually later on this week, because I'm going to start keeping tabs on these judges who come up with some of these weird scorecards. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to rewatch the fight. In any event, Weisfeld and Moretti had him up 76-74. Team Cheatham, that gosh darn last name of his, had him up by 2 points Lubin, that is. So, hey, maybe we're wrong, right? Yeah.
His punches had like real poison on them. I distracted myself just a little bit, and when he dropped them, I thought that fight was over for some reason. That actually Lubin had won, but no, I wasn't really paying attention. I should have. No, but it's not that crazy because his punches were really, really, really good punches.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, Lubin had the head-snapping shots. He had the flashier shots. And one of the reasons some people say that he might have had a chance of winning this one, or the better chance of winning it, is because of those flashy shots were going to impress the judges. And they did. But it just seemed like, except for that 7th round, and maybe a spot in another round, I forget which one, it just seemed like his punches had no effect on this tall, lanky guy. Well, what did you guys think of the fight overall?
Well, I thought it was an excellent fight. If Fundora learned how to close the distance better, because his closing the distance right now, all he does is, kind of just stick his left, like to measure, and then he kind of jumps in. And that's where he was vulnerable. That's how he kept getting caught with those looping shots. But if he works on that, I think the kid has a lot of, he's like the David Benavidez, just barrages you with those uppercuts. But I can't see how they had him up on the scorecards. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I mean, is Fundora even signed with the PBC? Is he a PBC fighter straight up?
You know what?
That would seem like. I was just curious if he was a PBC fighter, because that's almost like it was a mail-in then, because there's no way. I mean, there was some rounds he threw, like one round he threw 29 punches to 86 of Fundora, and Fundora landed more than punches than Lubin threw. And I just want to say also too, props to Lubin, man. People say he could be a little chinny. I don't know, man. He showed a pretty good chin. I gotta say he showed a lot of heart, a lot of grit. A lot of guys would have quit when their face was all fucked up like that. At least his nose was broken, and probably an oracle bone, if not the jaw, because he had serious swelling. But that also has a lot to do with. It seems like a lot of guys have forgotten, when you break your nose, you never blow it. That's like the worst thing you can possibly do. And I think what happens, he blew his nose hard, and when you have a broken nose, the air pockets gets up, and that's how you end up with a lot of that swelling.
Yeah, because his face looked like the Elephant Man in there, and it's rare to see a top guy that lumped up. And you know what? It seemed to me that his mistakes weren't necessarily, like you said, chin-wise. He actually showed good endurance, except for that second round where he got dropped. His mistake was more technical, standing straight up. Sometimes they're under, when you're fighting a tall guy like that, you want to change levels, make the taller guy reach for you. But it just seemed like, I don't know, it seemed to me too that he was expecting Fundora to run into something, kind of like Martinez did against Paul Williams 12 years ago. But it's just, that wasn't going to happen. But sometimes he did try to stand in there too in the pocket, and then his trainer, Steve Cunningham, who's a very good trainer, he would tell him, "Man, what the fuck you doing? Keep boxing from the outside." I don't know, it was weird. It was a tough fight.
He kept telling him to turn, and he wouldn't if you kept turning to the left, turn right, turn out of it, and throw punches as you're doing it. But again, I think, like you're 100% right. I think what happens with some of these guys, it's a hubris thing. Oh, you want to go toe to toe? All right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? And I always say props to a fighter when he's willing to do that. But at the end of the day, it probably wasn't the smart thing to do with that kid. But it was an entertaining fight, though. It really was. That 7th round, man, I'll tell you, he was putting it on him, and then he landed that shot. I thought and it goes to show you, too, he hasn't been hurt many times, too, Fundora, because he was clueless when he was hurt. He didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? He didn't know to grab on at all.
It probably had a little bit to do with the gauging of the distance, too, no, Jimmy? Because if that tall dude, if you're in and out, it's probably you're gonna lose a little bit of where you're gauging the distance. So if you're there and you're measuring this guy, you want to stay in place just a little. I assume. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Who knows?
Hey, Gonzalo, some people in the chat, Iceman in the chat is saying that you got it right on the money. Did you call this perfect round for Fundora? I don't remember. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention. But
no, I think I ultimately said that I would pick Lubin.
Okay, maybe he's talking about the Garcia fight, which we're going to get to later on. By the way, but it wouldn't surprise me if you get whatever he's talking about. It wouldn't surprise me if you get it right, because you almost always get it right. And Jimmy, I wanted to just point out Fundora. We saw him with Samson Lukowicz in the ring, so it might be that he's.
Yeah, we saw that.
So is he like David Benavides? Technically, is he with Al Heyman as an advisor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's like every PBC fighter usually has a manager, like some other, like, you know, Tom Brown, somebody else managed them, but the PBC is the, you know, promotional company that they fight under, and Al Heyman is the advisor. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's with Lukowicz, which is never a promising thing, because I mean, that guy, I count him as he's the fight ender. You know what I mean? He's a fight destroyer. He keeps fights from happening because he wants ridiculous money. You know, and he's the reason we never got Andrade and Charlo and a few other fights, because he prices his fighters out of the fights.
Well, listen,
he's the one who won $7 million, right? He won $7 million minimum for Charlo to fight Benavides. That's absurd.
Listen, Jimmy, those shirts with the open collar and the chains, they don't come cheap, man. He needs the money to buy those. Look like a 70s porn star. Speaking on a more serious note, Fundora, though, like, what do you guys think is his ceiling? Do you think he's highly vulnerable? Is he not quite Antonio Margarito, Paul Williams type of vicious? Like, what do you guys think about him?
If he doesn't correct that, if he doesn't get better at closing his distance, you know, he's going to get sparked. When somebody's got some real oomph on their punches, when somebody can really crack, if he gets in there with somebody who can just lay it on him, he's going to get in trouble. He's going to get exposed. You just cannot do that the way he was jumping in like that. Almost leading with his face sometimes. Because it's like I don't know, it was just very bizarre, because he seems like he works on everything else well. It was just closing that distance. I don't like the way he did it at all. That vulnerable in the pocket, just to get inside, he almost would jump in like with his head up, chin up in the air.
I gotta tell you, man, I kind of feel bad for Lubin too, because he's got everything: speed, technique. He's got the timing. Well, maybe the technique, he's got a couple of holes. He's not perfect, but he's pretty good. And it seems like he's in the Linares Amir Khan camp of guy just, or maybe did he just run into a guy it's gonna turn out he's a vicious animal in there.
Yeah, well, and to be honest with you, if this was any other era in boxing, this wouldn't even matter. Oh well, you got a loss, you got another loss in your record. See, we're in a era of boxing where, you know, they say, oh, Lomachenko got 2 losses. When you fight good guys, when you fight good people, you run the risk of losing. You know what I mean? Like Lubin fought and lost to 2 top-end guys. But I'll tell you right now, let me ask either one of you guys, do you guys want to see Lubin again? I know I do. I want to see the kid fight again. I still think he's a top fighter at that weight class. I mean, you know.
Gonzalo, how about you, man?
Yeah, I think we live in an era that there's like a lot of counter punchers. There's some good counter punchers, yeah, that they got sting on their punches. But a guy like Fundora, he throws a lot of punches, so he's gonna break through your guard. I think that's his plan. Eventually, if it's a counter puncher, a guy that doesn't throw a lot of punches, just keep insisting. He'll get hit on the way, but then he'll just continue with that. Don't stop throwing punches mentality. There's a word for that. I just can't think of it. Yeah, incessant.
Yes.
So
exactly.
It's gonna get the job done because just the willingness. So that, especially now that fighters don't throw a lot of punches in that division. Yeah, what can I say? There's another guy like that, Brian Castano, but he's extremely like shorter than him. But yeah, that would be a good fight. That's another volume puncher. You don't got too many of those.
It's the Rocky Marciano style of fighting. I'm just going to be tougher than you. You know what I mean? You might be more skilled, but at the end of the day, I'm going to out-tough you. It seems like that's that kid Fundora's mentality.
Yeah, and kind of like overfloods your computer too. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Doesn't let you breathe. Just stays on you. Doesn't give you a chance to even figure him out because he's just constantly on you.
History LT in the chat says he disagrees with Jimmy. He says, I don't think Lubin will be the same after this beating. Jimmy, would you be surprised if when Lubin steps into the ring, the next time he looks like Burchell did a couple of weeks ago?
No, he's too young. I don't think, I mean, he took again, the swelling could have a lot to do with blowing his nose. It just makes it look worse. I mean, if he was in his 30s, or late 30s maybe, but they don't fight enough. I don't think like that would. I mean, I could be completely wrong. That could have aged him, but I'd be surprised. But we'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, Tony Harrison fought on the undercard. He ended up beating Garcia, the guy, the Spaniard, the colonizer that gave Fundora a lot of trouble in his last fight. And Harrison just was on another level compared to this guy. Outclassed him, outboxed him. Now, the good thing about Harrison is for Fundora, he's going to give him a test because Harrison is well schooled. He can fight on the inside, outside. He punches relatively hard. He's got a good snap. But just like Lubin, punch endurance-wise, he's not the best. So it could be a nice little test for Fundora. I don't know. Should they take their time with Fundora at this point, or should they just throw him into the lion's den and keep matching him with the winner of Castaño, Charlo, for example?
Well, first off, I don't think Charlo would take that fight right away. He's not. I'd be surprised if he would jump right into it. Fundora, if he wins the tie, I would see him taking a softer touch first. It's been kind of the PBC way. It's not like the PBC to match the guys tough more than one time in a row.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's why I was asking, because, like, they usually baby guys, but they do it in a way that's not even entertaining. They just recycle fighters. And Tony Harrison would be a recycling, although he did at least win his last fight. But yeah, we'll see what happens. By the way, Shakur Stevenson, this is what he tweeted last night. I think he tweeted this. Actually, he talked to Fight Hub TB and he said he's friends with Lubin. He says, I don't like watching it. I'm a boxer, so I like to hit and not get hit. Okay, I don't know what he means by that, but he said, I don't like to see my brothers or somebody else go through punishment. It looked like he was going through punishment tonight. So Shakur Stevenson didn't like that, man. You know what I didn't like?
He doesn't like to get hit. I think that's the one drawback about Shakur Stevenson. I don't think he's extremely talented, but I don't think at his soul, it hasn't been proven to me yet that he's a fighter. He might be a great boxer, but that doesn't mean he's a fighter.
You know what I hate, Jimmy, when people say, well, nobody, like to your comment, people would reply, well, nobody likes to get hit. That's bullshit. Some people there's boxers that get into this sport because of the contact. And I'm not saying that they drop their hands and they want to get hit, but they like the danger of, hey, I might get hit. It's like a gambler. Gamblers will tell you, hey, if I won all the time, it wouldn't be fun anymore. So it's the same thing with boxing. These guys get in there and they enjoy the contact. So there's a difference between, like what Jimmy's saying, yeah, of course, nobody wants to get hit fucking flush in the face, but there's degrees of guys who can handle the fire and guys who can't. And it seems, so far, Shakur Stevenson said it himself. I got hit by Nakatila, I didn't like it, and I just played it safe. Overly safe. And it was completely boring. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe the guy really can't stand being hit. And it reminds me of Roy Jones when he saw what happened to Jerry McClellan. And what happened afterwards with Roy Jones' career for the next 6-7 years? Completely cherry-picking guys. Sanitation workers, police officers, mailmen. Didn't take a risk. And some people speculate that it's because, like he said himself, he was scared of getting knocked the fuck out, which is ironic because that's what ended up happening later on in his career multiple times. Here's the other thing that I wanted to bring up to you guys in regards to this fight. This is what Terence Crawford ended up tweeting. Fundora is a cheat code. He's the type of character you make on the Fight Night video game and you boost his sliders up and his height and a smaller weight class. So what he's trying to intimate, for those of you that don't play video games, is that he's the type of character you can create in a video game and you just boost up all the stats and end up cheating, fighting lesser opponents. Do you think that's a fair assessment of Fundora? Is he a weight bully or...
I don't buy that. He's taking advantage of the fucking system that's in place, right? I mean, the boxing wanted to make the day before weigh-in. That's what you get. Like, obviously, probably Lubin wouldn't be fighting at, whatever weight class they were fighting at last night, 154, if it was same day weigh-in. They're probably both at least minimum of middleweight, if not higher. So that's the problem. If you can make the weight, how is that a weight bully? Because, yes, he might be taller, but, I mean, see how thin his legs are? See how thin his neck is? That's a drawback. it just depends on how you can get it. But it is definitely, if you're not used to fighting a tall guy, it can be difficult for you. But then again, tall guys, you see how open his body was for shots?
Mm-hmm. And listen, you know,
so there's pluses too.
The argument I often hear is, go ahead, Gonzalo. Yeah.
No, it's just like that band, the Dave Matthews Band, the space between them open arms. That's why I thought he would lose, but pretty good. He's the real deal, man.
The Dave Matthews, is that the one that they did that song with Santana? Remember that one?
Can't recall.
Anyway,
I don't think so. I think that's Everclear, but yeah.
Oh, okay, whatever. Dave Matthews. But because some people say, look, hey, if you can make the weight, you can make the weight. And look, Crawford himself has said he weighs about 170 something pounds when he's not training. So is he a weight bully? Because he's got long ass arms himself. Maybe he should look in the mirror before he starts casting aspersions on a guy like Fundora. So man, yeah, that was Fundora right there, man. By the way, fellas, don't forget to hit the like, and we are gonna be opening up the phone lines in about 15 to 20 minutes. So stay tuned for that. Let's move on now then to the Ryan Garcia fight, because I gotta tell you, he went up winning a lopsided unanimous decision. When the fight started, I liked what Garcia was doing. He was putting pressure, throwing with meat intentions. And I remember what I said during the week. I said, man, if he goes in there unprepared, Tagoe is gonna give him a tough time. And Tagoe wasn't doing shit. Garcia took everything away from him. But little by little, it started to become a boring fight. And I don't know about you guys, but it seemed like Garcia was losing snap in his shots later on. Like he was throwing some good body shots, but they weren't doing anything. What do you guys think happened? What went wrong with Garcia, if anything?
Well, do you want to go, Gonzalo? Or do you want me to go?
He was to go slippery guy, always moving. Garcia, yeah, he was just target practice for him. A moving target, but nonetheless, target practice. To go older, slower, smaller. Garcia bigger, more punching power, more speed. And yeah, that's basically it. It's just pretty much target practice. A moving target, but yeah, nonetheless, that pretty much it.
Well, I can add to that, say ring rust right off the rip. His timing he was missing big. But I'll tell you right now, and I'm going to be honest, man, because it's not like I've been, I think, pretty fair assessment with him when everybody else was dogging him. I was like, his power's legit. I believe that's true. But I'll tell you, his upright, after seeing last night, if Tat was Tank Davis in there last night, he would have been starched. He is, I can't stand the way he leaves his head and he tries to lean back out of the way of shots and turn to the side. So when you turn to the side and lean your way back, that eliminates, you only have really one way to go to get out of it. And I thought it was a terrible performance by Garcia. I really did. I thought it was shocking how bad some of the stuff he was doing. He clouding himself. He has no clue on distance. He would smother his own work constantly. He didn't know how to step back. And when he missed big. Good guys with good balance miss a punch. They don't go 3 feet out of the pocket. He would send them miss, and he would have to take 2 steps to get back because he was putting everything behind him. But I know, I'll tell you, I thought Garcia looked like shit last night. It's just, in my opinion.
I gotta agree with you, man. And look, I know some people can say, BDA, you're always taking a shot at Garcia. But look, I gave him props for at least fighting aggressively early on. But as the fight went on, everything Jimmy said is spot on. He was loading up on shots. By the way, even when he went to the body, because Goosen kept saying, work this guy's body. You could hear the shots, so they did have some snap on them, but he was slapping them a little bit. He wasn't really completely turning
jabs. And what's this jab? Jab your way in. Everything in boxing is off the jab. You know what I mean? Jab is the most important fucking punch in boxing. And he wasn't even trying to jab. Instead, he was trying to one-shot him, like sucker punching a drunk at last call. It was ridiculous.
Well, we've all seen our share of those.
For a guy that's such a speed demon that can hit the pads and do the practicing routines on the YouTube, the guy can't finish and he can't string the second punch when he's got a guy hurt to get him out of there, as we noticed. That's kind of glaring to know that it's almost like his heart, like his real like his brain isn't into it. He's just almost going like by the numbers. It's just like a practice session. He went out there to bully the guy, but he didn't have no real like ideas, like creative ideas. It's almost like it's just a routine for him. And when that routine just going by the numbers, throwing punches, like in like this practice sequence, he's not really looking alive. Like he's trying to actually come up with the second punch to land something accurately, like in real time. No, it's just like a rehearsal.
Yeah, it's boxing by the numbers, is what you're saying. So there's no there's no improvisation, and it's like when you're acting like a machine. Yeah, it's like when you're acting like a machine. How do you screw up a machine? You throw a monkey wrench in the works, and that's what happened with him. This guy was listen. Tagoe is to blame too, because not only was he moving a lot, which I can appreciate movement, but when it's movement, nonstop movement with clinching, this guy's to blame too. Now, Garcia, though, he was putting on the pressure, but it's one thing to cut the ring off, but it's that last movement, which is the punching, that can screw a guy over and undo all the good work he did with the feet prior to that. And like Jimmy said, overcommitting, overshooting the distance, not being in proper positioning after punching, loading up on shots, no jabs. There was a lot to criticize for Garcia. And I know some people are going to say, but BDA, he won a lopsided decision. He hurt him twice. I get all that. But you also have to compound.
It's the gnome.
It's the what?
Yeah, against a little gnome. That dude, I mean, it was embarrassing he even took, why didn't he fight somebody? I mean, that dude had no business being in there. And, I'm always propping up the Gagne fighters. I'm like, those guys will die in there. That dude when a fighter does everything he can not to get into the fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he did not want to engage. He was all about survival mode. Right out of the rip, he was just. It almost seemed like his full intention was it was a victory to him if he made it to the end. I mean, I know he pumped his fist at the end of the 12th round, like yeah. I mean, come on, really? Yeah, it was a whitewash. He didn't win a single round, dude. Although I think one judge gave him a round, but he didn't want to engage. He didn't fight like a normal African. Normal African fighter stays in there, and but he didn't want it. And but then again, he wasn't talented enough where it should have been that difficult. He wasn't doing anything, crafty to get away from him. He was just running. The problem was, you got a kid Gazelle who's just dragging his right foot, dragging his rear foot, and he's stomping out with his front, just following them in a straight line. Just following line. He didn't try to cut the ring off. I thought he did a terrible job of cutting the ring off. He had, to Gonzalo's point, he had no follow-up punches. If he missed big with that first shot, it was it. He'd be out of position. I mean, if he was in there with a kid who had some nastiness and wanted to fight, a little crack, he would have got sparked.
Well, now that's the thing, though. You said, well, why did they put him in there against this guy? But you said earlier as well, ring rust. That's why and Bucho told me the same thing. He says that's why they chose this guy, because he's a mover, but he doesn't have any real punching power. He's not the greatest boxer out there, and he's smaller. So that's why they chose him. And it showed. Imagine. But I would have put him in.
They must have known that the kid would engage. No, is that how he's always fought? Has he always been kind of a runner?
Well, no, that's the thing. That's why I give Garcia a modicum of credit for this fight, because he made Tagoe fight this way, and Tagoe had never fought this way. Again, I haven't seen every single Tagoe fight, but he never fought this way. So yeah, I mean, I got to give Garcia some credit too. I mean, he intimidated this guy with his. Well,
the power's real. Yeah, exactly. The power's real. I think he felt the power in the second round. I mean, Garcia definitely can crack, but that's right now. To me, that's all he's got.
Hey, by the way, shout out to Texas Bulldog for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Pitbull Cruz would have been too much. Tank kills him. Well, see, that brings up the point that we were talking about here in terms of matchmaking. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but that was one of the fights that was floated around for Garcia's comeback, right?
I believe so, yes.
So yeah, so Texas Bulldog says that Pitbull
might have... that definitely was one of the fights. In fact, remember the whole thing that supposedly Golden Boy made an offer and it was put the kibosh on because they didn't want him. Obviously, it wouldn't have looked good for Cruz. I mean, it wouldn't have looked good for Tank if he went out and starched the kid who went all 12 with him. So
that's what I'm asking, though. I think
Cruz might have. That kid Cruz probably a good thing they didn't fight him after seeing last night's performance.
But that's the thing, though, because Tagoe looked like comparatively, he looked way smaller than Garcia, shorter, rather shorter, and supposedly he's 5'8". So somebody's lying. Either Garcia's taller or Tagoe is shorter, because the reason why I mentioned that is because
he's 5'5" tops. That kid Takora, he's
so
5'8", man.
So
they're lying.
So then my question is, how would Cruz and Tank Davis look against Garcia, height-wise?
Yeah. The Tank's quick enough, though. Tank's got real speed on his hands, and he can throw in combination. And I think he's got more dog in him. I don't know. We'll just see. I'm just so shocked that he didn't jab. And I don't remember even hearing. I couldn't really hear his comment anyways. But was he saying, what the fuck you doing, dude? Jab your way in. I don't care whatever else you do, but jab your ass into him. Don't stand there and fucking throw pot shots at him. Oh, it was terrible.
You didn't. I mean, yeah. So where does he go from here? Then is what I'm trying to get at as well.
Got to fight somebody a little bit more dangerous. Some guy that he's not just going to go in there and try to run him over and befuddle him with his speed and power. He's got to fight somebody that he's going to be a little bit more cognizant and be aware that there's something coming back. Therefore, he can learn how to fight more smartly in there, because that's just the way that he needs to be. He's going to fight somebody dangerous eventually. So you got to fight somewhat of a dangerous opponent leading up to the big fights.
I'll tell you right now, if I was training somebody to fight him, the thing I would work on is the trap I would want to set is I would try to work some kind of feint where I get him to bite on, because he'll try to he'll get in that position, and he wants to remember his best punch, and his punch he's constantly looking for is that check left. That's his check left hook. I'd get him to bite on a feint, duck as I'm doing it, because when he misses so big. He leaves himself in horrible, vulnerable positions. That's when you can hurt him. That's when he's open to catch a beating, because of the positioning of his body. At no time with a shorter guy, he should have been bending at his waist, bending at his knee, snapping a jab into that kid's face, and then jumping it with a right hand, then following with a left hook. Instead, he just started with the left hook. You know what I mean? And then he'd be out of position like a madman. Yeah, I know. I thought he looked terrible. It wasn't very good for Goosen last night. I don't think Goosen didn't make himself. I don't know. I don't think he did a very. If this was his game plan, I don't think he did a good job with them.
Huh. Well, I mean, that's the future. Let's see what the future holds, man. Because Garcia is still he was a good turnout there from the crowd. And by the way, we got our old pal Steve Kim jumping in. Joining us this Sunday evening.
Steven, what's up, brother?
What is going on? I listened to you guys in the morning after I fell asleep after the Golovkin fight, full day of boxing. Jimmy and BDA and Gonzalo, good morning to all you guys. But guys,
good morning, brother.
There's a reason why they chose to go or Tago, because this is what they wanted. They wanted a very safe, non-threatening opponent. And look, Jimmy, I'm with you. I'm old school. I just look at Ryan Garcia, and he's a guy that trains for Instagram and TikTok. He doesn't actually train his technique for a real fight. And there's so many things he does wrong. And look, I don't think this is an indictment on Joe Goosen. Joe Goosen has a great track record. I've seen him in the gym work with real world-class fighters. And he almost has to start over with Ryan. I think Ryan's got some physical tools, quickness, got fast twitch muscles. He could certainly spark guys out early with that left hook. But once the explosion kind of goes away and guys gauge the speed after about the third, fourth round, you see what happens. Guys get used to it. I would have loved to have seen Tago be a little bit more threatening in there and take more chances. But, Ryan is really, really flat-footed, doesn't step into his punches. And also he pulls back on a lot of punches. He has a lot of wasted motion, so he telegraphs his shots. And then there comes a point where you start to see everything. And that's the issue. So, that's what he is. And you look at a guy like Fundora, tall, long guy. He doesn't have a lot of wasted motion on his punches. His punches start right from the elbow. He doesn't pull back. And he lands a lot more punches. This is what we're getting with Ryan Garcia. A lot of flash, a lot of sizzle. not a lot of stake.
Oh, so is it a dire outlook for Garcia's career at this point?
Well, this is interesting. He will get protected as if he has a secret service surrounding him. He still drew nearly 15,000 people, extremely popular. But I think last night was needed. They need to realize one thing, and I've said this for years, guys, and you listen to what I've said. If he would have fought Tank Davis, that would have been the modern-day Tiananmen Square. Gervonta Davis would run him over.
Oh.
I've said that 3 years ago. I said that 2 years ago. I said that a year ago. I'll say it now. I'll probably say it a year from now. Until Ryan Garcia really gets back to the root fundamentals of the sport. And the other thing he doesn't have, Jimmy, and I know you probably noticed this, he doesn't bend his knees at all. He is so up and down and upright.
That's what I said right before you called. Yep.
Yeah, it's very difficult for him to actually land proper body shots or to get in position. Say what you want about. Let's go back to Fundora. Even though he fights in a way that people think he shouldn't, given his size, but this is what he is. This is what he does, and he's actually very good at it. And he knows what he's doing. And it's not very flashy, but you could tell he's practiced things that he will do in a fight over and over again, and he's perfected it. There were times yesterday where he made Lubin look like the double end bag, the way he just kept turning over the elbows and wrist and turning over his punches properly with that lead knuckle, the big index knuckle, which is the sweet spot. And so there's a guy that actually does something that is applicable to a fight. It'll never be good on social media. It'll never get retweeted a million times, but it actually is effective in a fight. So as it relates to Ryan Garcia, look, he's good for the sport. He's great for the business of Golden Boy. I think he's one of the elite lightweights in the world? No.
Well, that brings up an interesting point, because you guys are bringing up some excellent criticism of his technique or like the rough. Did he ever have that? Because he was struggling with Carlos Morales 3-4 years ago. You know what I mean?
He was. And that look, he's been very well protected. He's been brilliantly matched. And I think Jimmy could talk about this. If you're fighting once every 16 months the way he has at that age, you're not going to get better, regardless.
Yeah, that's an excellent point right there as well. It's he's got too many options. We've said it before, man. He's got too many options outside the ring, and that usually doesn't bode well for a fighter's tenacity and resolve and his work ethic. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Hey, is there any chance Golden Boy tries to just cash him out at this point?
That will depend, BDA, on how difficult his management and his team are. If they want to push and continue to be a pain in the ass and have issues every single time they negotiate a fight, there may be a point in time where the leadership of Golden Boy says, okay, you want something? Here it is. It's what you call in boxing the green light, where a promoter is so sick and tired of a fighter and their managers or their fathers, they get rid of a guy. The signal is, I've seen it happen. And they said, okay, you asked for it. Ask and you shall receive. It's one of the blunt harsh truths of this business. But let's be fair. Let's see what happens in their next fight. Given the way that Joseph Diaz was tweeting and agitating a lot of people with some of his comments on Twitter, it's clear to me that Golden Boy is going to try to make a fight between him and Joseph Diaz. And again, Joseph is a really good fighter, but he's a bit of a tweener. Doesn't really hit hard, can't really make 26 or 30. So that's another solid, safe step against a guy that's recognizable. Technically, he's more sound than To-Go was, who ran around the ring like a marathon runner last night, but he doesn't punch very hard. So that looks like, to me, the direction that everyone's moving. But if they start asking for $5-6 million, yeah, I could actually see a point where they said, okay, call Leonard Ellerby or whoever's running that Tank career 8 months from now. Bring in the bullpen, call in the southpaw. Right. Let's bring him in.
Yeah, right. Get out to the mound. Yeah, no, Steve, I said the same thing. I was shocked by the fact that he never bent his knees, never bent at the waist once. When you get a little guy, especially when you're at a distance, you just bend a little bit of a bend, snap the jab, and jump in. He would jump in with these fucking wild, and when he missed big. So it tells you his balance is for shit. And then when he would get, if he would miss, the worst thing to do in boxing, as you know, Steve, is lean back. put your head back and just lean in that position. You got nowhere to go. You know what I mean? And if he had somebody who wanted to fight and had some oomph on his punches, they'd clean his clock.
Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
real quick, shout out to Revolucion for his super chat with the super chat in the chat room. He says, I got a match today in a few hours. I'm going to come into the ring screaming war like Hagler running on the beach. Love you guys. Gonna kick some ass for y'all. All right, Revolucion. Shout out to Revolucion. His wrestling match taking place today.
Okay.
Revolution.
Yeah, hit somebody over the head with a chair for us, Revolucion. Make it bloody, man. That's the way you got to do it. Go ahead. Sorry, Steve. What were you going to say?
The issue that one of the critiques I have of Ryan Garcia, everything he does in training, or at least he puts up, is about quickness and being really fast. But a lot of things in a lot of sports, when you drill something, whether it's baseball or football or basketball, you actually slow down your movement to perfect the technique. Ryan does everything hyper fast to show that he's like this Mexican Roy Jones or a young Mayweather. I remember when I interviewed him a couple of years ago, it was during a Golden Boy fight week. It was me and Beto Duran, and they had an open workout for the undercard fighters. And this is when Ryan was a little bit more stable, I believe, in his professional and personal situation. And I asked him, I said, I have a feeling you watched a lot of Roy Jones and Floyd Mayweather growing up. And he said, yes, I absolutely did. Those are the two guys I watched the most of. And you guys, you tell me, every time you watch him fight, doesn't he look like he's doing a cheap knockoff impersonation of both those guys?
A little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. You can tell he was influenced by that, but he just doesn't have the other attributes they had. Well, at least Mayweather, you know what I mean?
Well,
That is true. That is true, Steve. I know you've been around a lot of professionals. I've seen some too in my time. When they're going by the numbers in their head, you know, and they're training, you can see that they're going like in slow motion. They're like almost like mentally just practicing in that fashion. You know, that they're not throwing really like fast and hard, but they're just going through the numbers in their head like that. This guy, no, he doesn't want to do that. Yes.
No, there has to be a rhyme and reason to do it. Ryan is great on repetition. If you want to throw an 88 punch combination or do the same routine on that Cobra bag, you know, if boxing was like figure skating, he'd be the best fighter in the world. But unfortunately, you generally have dance partners that don't want to make it easy on you. Here's where I know if they're going to be serious or not about this career. If I'm Garcia's management, given the fact that he fought, I think it was Valentine's Day 2020, about a month and a half before the pandemic shut down the world. Then he fought on January 2nd of 2021, and then he fought yesterday. So he's averaging a fight every 14 to 16 months, right? Well, I would say to Ryan, we got to fight more. You got to actually get out there into the fire and forge yourself. I would say if Ryan can fight 2 more times this year instead of just once.
Yeah, I'm with Steve here, right? I mean, this is the problem with boxing today. I mean, a lot of these fighters that they want to be Marvin Gaye instead of Marvin Hagler, don't they? And this is
What does that mean? You mean getting shot by their fathers?
Well, yeah, their Father's Days. Jeez. I hear what you're saying.
I mean, you know, you got these you got world champions walking around in skinny jeans, pink shirts, and earrings in. Fucking, I mean, come on, man. Where were the real men, the alpha males of boxing these days? I mean, this is the problem in them. Look, it's an easy lifestyle, especially in America, man. I mean, like I said, all you got to do is have a fucking six pack and throw a nice jab, and you're a fucking millionaire, aren't you? I mean, it's absolute.
No, you're right, and I have a theory, guys, and I've talked to some trainers and some old school matchmakers about this, and they agree with me, but they'll never say it publicly because it upsets the higher ups. In my view, I don't think fighters fight enough, even at the 4-6 round level, and they train for months at a time. A lot of times because they have to knock off 30, 40 pounds, and they spar 150, 170 rounds in a camp. My view is if they would fight more often and train less and not have to go through these fluctuations in weight, fighters, in my view, if you're under the age of 25 and you don't have 25 fights, you should be fighting more than 2-3 times a year. It's the only way you'll perfect your craft. And a lot of these guys...
I agree, Steve.
No,
I always tell people, you know, when in Enter the Dragon, when O'Hara was hitting these bricks and snapping these woods and looking impressive doing it, Bruce Lee said, but they don't fight back. And that's the problem with a lot of, I mean, like I said, you look good in the gyms, hitting the speed bag and hitting these fucking things don't hit you back. It's the true fighters is how they react when they get caught with a big shot, you know. And like I said, it's all well and good strolling forward, fucking touching people and then they fall over, job done. But when you're in there with someone that's just not going to go away, who's crafty, who's hurting you as well, I mean, that's when you, like I said, Wilder found that out, because Wilder's used to just fucking throwing a shot, job done. But when someone put it on him, took his best shots and put it on him, he fell to pieces, didn't know where to go. Matisse was another one. He was all well and good, looking good, sparking people out. But as soon as someone put it on him, he fucking fell to pieces. And that's, you find that with a lot of bullies in boxing, a lot of bullies. I mean, Golovkin's probably a one-off where he can actually fucking take as good as he gives, but a lot of bullies, I mean, you know, you put it on them and they fall to pieces. And that's this is the point of having the right fights, having enough fights through the year. I mean, like I said, sparring, you cannot, me and Steve were talking about the other day, there's nothing, that timing is the most important thing in boxing, sharpness and timing. Because if you haven't got that, don't matter how hard you hit, you're not going to land on the fucking, but you only get that in fights, in being put in situations. Sparring is just, it's going through the motions, sparring. It's just fucking going through the motion.
Yeah. Dude, people talk about all the time how Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta fought 2 times in a span of 3 weeks, right? What they don't talk about, which I think is more remarkable, Ray Robinson actually had a 10-round tune-up in between those 2 fights against Jackie Wilson, who was a pretty solid welterweight or a middleweight back in his day. Think about that. Yeah. The guy actually fought LaMotta twice, but in between he had a 10-round tune-up fight. Nowadays, if you ask a fighter, this is a sad statement, if you ask a fighter after a 10-round fight, and I'm not talking about a situation what Erickson Lubin is going through, because that's completely different. But I'm talking about a routine 8 to 10-round fight where a guy doesn't really get banged up. And if you asked them, hey, are you ready to fight in 3 weeks? Most of them would say they wouldn't want to. Not that they can't, because they've been conditioned to not want to or be expected to do so. Or if you ask them, hey, would you be ready to get into a gym to work out for a fight in 2 months? Would you be willing to do that? And I'm not so sure most of them would even be willing or able to go through that option.
This is the thing. I mean, I don't want to hear about this. Oh, you know, too many fights. Oh, you know, not good for. Look, Archie Moore, over 200 fights. I mean, you know, and this is why these guys were great, because they didn't have a chance to get out of shape. They didn't have a chance to blow up. They didn't have a chance to fucking get sloppy. They were in there again a few weeks later. They had to stay in shape all year round, and it's the best for you. It prolongs your career. When you keep losing weight, this is why Ricky Hatton, you know, was finished after he had a couple of years at his prime and he was finished because he was drinking, taking cocaine, eating kebabs, blowing up, thinking he's a fucking comedian instead of a boxer, blowing up and having to spend his whole camp just making the weight, not even knowing if he's going to make the fucking weight. And that's not a preparation for a fight. You need to be focused. You need to be ready, you know, and you need to know what's ahead of you. You need to be going to sleep the night before the fight knowing that you're on weight and you ain't got to panic and get in a fucking sauna. You know, this is the thing. But boxing's like, it's an all year round game. Even if you only fight twice a year, it's all year round. That's why Floyd knew that. This is the thing about Floyd. This is why he stayed at the top for so long. Because when his mates were in there making it rain in the nightclubs, Floyd Mayweather was leaving, drinking orange juice and leaving at 2 for his fucking daily workout. I mean, that takes some dedication. When you got some titties and stuff rolling in front of you and wiggling bums in front of you, and, you know, and you fucking put your glass down and go and train, that's a true champion. Because I know most of them have been grinding behind that, winding away, slapping the batty. You know, at the end of the day, these are the difference between like the Charlos, Errol Spence, Tank Davis, all these fucking guys that love to make it rain, Broner, and the Floyds and the Sugar Rays and the fucking them sort of guys. Do you know what I mean?
There's no doubt. Look, say what you want about Bernard Hopkins. He's the most dedicated, disciplined human being I've ever met. And it didn't really surprise me. He fought well into his late 40s. But part of it is, look, it's easy to blame the fighters, and it is on them. However, when you create a system when fighters are basically expected to only fight twice a year, this is what you're going to create. And unfortunately, so I want to see if Ryan Garcia, because what are we now? We are now in early April, correct? That last night was April 9th. If boxing was still a real sport and not just a business, which it has become, is it too much to ask that he actually comes back in, let's say, August or September and then fight once again in December? Now, I'm going to say this right now, fellas. There is no chance of that happening. None. But if it was a real game and you cared about the actual development of the prize fighter named Ryan Garcia, that's what would happen, and there's no chance of it occurring.
Well, Steve, let me ask
do
you
you
this.
remember back in the day? Sorry, BD, I just want to put this, but it was always determined on when your next time you're going to fight was how much damage you took in that fight. The fact that he didn't take any damage, nothing was really put on him. I mean, really, he could realistically fight next month. He didn't have any damage put on him, but it's just that he won't. That's the problem that bothers me.
Jimmy, you know what was a pet peeve, and you know, Mario called me Clint Eastwood's character in Gran Torino. I'm the old crotchety get off my lawn guy, which I'm proud of. But you're absolutely right. You know what irks my nerve is when I hear a fighter go through a regular fight, and they've only fought twice this year, 7 months or 8 months apart, and after like the second fight, the guy wins a 10-round decision, fight's not really memorable, and they ask, "Oh, what's next? What are you going to do?" And the answer is, "Well, I need a long rest." What do you think you just had?
Exactly, man.
You probably had a 3-month vacation before your 8-week camp. I mean, but again, they are now bred and conditioned into this mindset, and now that mindset becomes that particular lifestyle. Not all the
Steve,
fault, guys.
I wanted to mention something that I keep thinking in regards to, you said that he needs to slow it down. Ryan Garcia. It is true, man. I keep mentioning something here that I learned in the military when they used to tell us, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I remember in the urban warfare when you were taking like these buildings, if you go in there running and not really like slow it down, you're not going to see what's going on inside that building. You need to slow it down to be able to see what the hell is going on.
Check your blind spots.
I watched this thing, right? I watched this thing that basically explained what Gonzalo said on point. Why sometimes you think being there the quickest is the best way. No, it's not, because I watched this thing. It was about special forces. There's special forces all over the world, and they had to get down this hill and cover this sort of stuff and then bring it up the hill. But there's a lot of weight, but there was tactics behind it. Well, the Americans, they flew forward, fucking guns blazing, taking everything out. Gets to the thing. They've gone up the hill straight up, but it's wet, it's slippery. They're struggling to get up. The Brits have gone. They've come down. They've gone the slow way around. It's a lot longer, probably 3 times longer to walk. But in the end, they nicked it, because the time the Americans had gone up the fucking hill thinking that's the short way, the Brits had took all the long. They'd worked out that it was going to take, and it had walked all the way around, and they got it before. So sometimes you think going the shortcut is the quickest way. No, it's not. And that's a prime example of what Gonzalo said.
Gonzalo, there's an old phrase from the late great John Wooden: "Be quick, but don't be in a hurry." And again, you could train for TikTok or you could train for a real fight. And it reminded me of a story that I heard about Tony Gwynn. He did a drill about hitting the ball up the middle. Now, he was my all-time favorite baseball player. Read a lot of stories about him. And he told a group of high schoolers that he happened to see on a baseball field about this drill he was doing about hitting the ball up the middle as a left-handed hitter. And he said, when you're practicing by yourselves or with your team, you hit the ball more towards shortstop. And they're like, well, wait a minute, aren't you trying to hit the ball right up the middle? And he said, yeah, but you have to understand, when you're in a real game competition setting, your natural adrenaline and heartbeat will make you faster. So perfect the actual technique now.
That's excellent.
That's
It's
interesting.
the same thing.
Was he in Minnesota Twins?
No, San Diego Padre, one of the all-time great hitters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I remember him. I just couldn't picture the team. Sorry. Anyways, finish.
And so, like, when you're hitting a heavy bag, like Rudy Hernandez, I think is a great trainer. Chicanito Hernandez's brother, very close friend of mine. We have dinner often. We'll talk a lot. He's an old school guy. If you watched Junto Nakatani yesterday, the little Japanese flyweight, he's the WBO champion. I don't know if he's going to be Nano Inoue, but I think he's going to be a really good fighter. If you look at the way he turns over his punches and locks them out with that shoulder, I've seen him work that drill, the triangle drill that I posted on Twitter, where Rudy never actually focuses in on speed. he makes sure, and I've seen it, because I've spent a lot of time with Rudy when he teaches his fighters about making sure that your knuckle is in a certain position, that your wrist has a certain type of like tightness to it, and that your shoulder is locked out with that chin tucked into your front shoulder with your head down. But he is making sure you're hitting a certain way, and that your lead arm or whatever arm that you are striking with is like a crowbar, that you are not trying to be fast. You are trying to be rigid and really hit hard at a certain angle. And they work it over and over again. And Rudy never actually says, do it faster, because he understands once you get into competition, you're going to be faster naturally because of your adrenaline.
Well, Steve, I wanted to ask you this. I wanted to get to this question here because we're all pointing out everything Garcia's been doing wrong, what he can improve. Now, you got to assume Goosen is seeing all of this. Steve, do you plan on speaking to Goosen anytime in the near future?
Oh, yeah.
And if so, what do you think he's going to say? Like, how do you think he's going to characterize what we saw this last night?
On the record, he'll say all the cliches. Off the record, he'll probably tell me the truth. Look, I'm the type of guy, if you take my phone call, you call me, you may not like what you hear. But I've always said I should open up a 1-900 line, because if you want me to tell your fighter you look terrible, I'd be the guy to do it. I'm not trying to be friends with any of these guys. I actually think Ryan has a lot of physical tools, but he's like that guy that has a lot of great ingredients in the kitchen. He has no idea how to cook. Everything's microwaved.
And do you agree, Steve? Do you agree that if he was honest with you and gave an honest assessment, it seems to me that Garcia is the type of kid who wouldn't take constructive criticism very well, especially publicly. He seems like he's very, you know what I mean?
Agreed. Let me tell you a story, guys. Let me tell you a story, Jimmy. And you hit the nail on the head. When I was still doing those Blasco shows for Ring TV alongside Doug Fisher and Beto Duran, this was at the very beginning, fall of 2015. No one really knew who Ryan Garcia was. He was just this really good-looking kid that did a few Instagram videos, and he looked fast. He was at the show, and right as before we get onto the air, him and his father walk up to, hey, we're Ryan Garcia. We're wondering, can we take a picture with you guys? We're big fans. So we all take a picture, shook hands. I said, that's a nice kid. Maybe he has a future. A year later, as he signs with Golden Boy, Beto and Doug are in Montreal. Do you remember when Billy Joe Saunders fought David Lemieux?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a cold weekend. I didn't go to that fight, but they sent Doug and Beto out to do that undercard, the international broadcast. Ryan Garcia was on that card, and he kind of struggled, but he got some much-needed experience going 8 rounds. And I remember I was done with my workout at Wildcard Boxing. I flip on my phone to Ring TV to see what was going on. I was actually curious to see how Ryan Garcia was going to perform that night. It wasn't a great night, but it was a needed night. And Doug and Beto, I thought, were very fair. They're saying, hey, he's got to work on a few things. Some improvements going to be needed. But I thought they were very, very fair and balanced in their critique. Well, the next day, Ryan Garcia starts tweeting out, Doug and Beto are hating. And he actually said this, I've been informed by King Rye's army, not a militia guy, he had an army, that Beto and Doug are hating on me. And I was like, wow, we got a problem here. I knew it right then.
It's kind of like with the whole Canelo comments. He's kind of going about that the same way. No, Steve, sorry.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's what Canelo mentioned. All of a sudden, they're bringing it up on these interviews. And if you want to go watch the full interview, go to The Zone with Kate Abdul and watch what he's got to say about that. It's not that big of a deal, but they're making it out to be like it is.
You look, Joe is a great boxing mind. He is. And look, no matter what he tells me, in the back of his mind, he knows. Look, let me go back to another cookie analogy. You don't have to be a Michelin star rated chef to know that if you get food poisoning, that wasn't a good meal. Okay. Last night, as that thing unraveled in the middle rounds, and you got the sense by the 7th round, this is going to go the distance. And I'm not Gonzalo. I had a setup with like 3 or 4 screens at my friend's house, Fight Central as we call it. I started watching more and more of the Fundora Lubin fight. I started ignoring Ryan right around the 6th, 7th round.
Yeah, that one was much more entertaining for sure, man. Garcia, he sort of apologized too to the crowd in the post-fight interview. He goes, "Hey, listen, this guy didn't come to fight, ring rust, blah blah blah." So yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Ryan Garcia down the line. He still seems to have some star power there. And in regards to Fundora, what do you think can happen with him? Do you think what's the ceiling for him to be a big star? And is he gonna be matched up with some of the other PBC guys?
My question is this: will the other PBC guys want to face that?
Oh,
I mean, he's 6'5", 154. And it's not just that he's tall that makes him what I call the most physically difficult matchup in boxing. It's not just the fact that he's tall for that weight class, but guys, he's got durability. He's kind of tough. I know he got hurt, he got knocked down. That happens, but he's like an avalanche that just keeps coming and coming and coming at you. And the way he punches straight from the elbow, he snaps his punches at the end. He just cuts you up and he buzzes you. And he's a well-conditioned kid. I'll tell you a story, guys. About 6 years ago, I go up to Big Bear to visit Gennady Golovkin and Abel Sanchez, and they had 2 sessions. They had a morning session, and then Golovkin comes in around 2 or 3. So I get to the gym. I'm with Tom Loeffler, with some other people, and Abel says, "Hey, Steve, I want you to meet a fighter." He's working out at the gym. He was actually with Ben Lira, who's one of the assistants there, and has his own gym out here in West Covina. And he said, "Hey, Steve, this is Sebastian Fundora." And I'm like 6'2", guys. And I crane my neck to look up at him. And I go, "Hey, what weight class are you?" Because he's really thin. And back then he said, "Oh, I'm a 147-pounder." I almost fainted. I mean, honestly, he was like 6. He's probably about an inch shorter back then. He was about 6'4", 147 pounds. And he's got some strength to him, guys. He's not a guy that's going to bench press 325, but he's very difficult to move back. How many guys have actually moved him back in the ring during a fight, if you think about it?
Yeah. It's tendon strength with him. A lot of people look at muscle mass and they forget it really in boxing, especially, it comes down to tendon strength. He's a strong dude.
Right,
he's
and
exciting
Jimmy,
too.
Go ahead, Gonzalo.
I was just gonna say he's exciting too, man. His style is well defined. I know what he brings to the table now. I'm convinced. The kid is good, man. He's good. He's only getting better.
Gonzalo, I don't want to hear, "Well, he needs to box more from." No, he doesn't. I'm very entertained by what I see. Don't change any of that. Maybe bad for him. It's good for me. That's all I care about, right?
Yeah, don't ruin the fun.
Steve, I would say if I was his, in his corner, the only thing I would work on is him covering that dangerous space a little better. He kind of jumps in without following through a jab. You see, like he was trying to put his fist out to measure, and that's when he was getting caught in that mid-range. That's when he got hurt too, in the mid-range. He needs to work on his mid-range game just a little bit more. His inside game is deadly. You'd be an idiot to fight that kid in the inside.
Right, but that's what he is. That's what he's done his whole career. That's what he's comfortable at. He's not a stick and move artist. And I want to give a tip of the cap to my guy, Kevin Cunningham. He's a guy I get along with very well. He saved a career. Look, Lubin may never be the same again after what happened, especially the last 2-3 rounds when his face started to really break apart. But he gave it a shot. And I got the sense, guys, I don't know about you, that when he hurt him in the 7th, knocked down Fundora, as soon as Fundora survived the round, I still got the sense this is Fundora's fight. And too many trainers would have played that game of ego and, hey, maybe we're ahead, which I think is ridiculous. BDA, I don't think there's any way that Fundora was not winning that fight up until that point. But I want to give a tip of the cap to Kevin Cunningham. He did the right thing. He did his job. He protected his boxer.
Absolutely.
Who pelted him with ice? Was that a member? Does anybody know? Was that a member of like a family member of Lubin?
Yeah. I saw on Twitter that it was from the Lubin crowd that maybe they gambled. I mean, we are in Las Vegas, family members, Jimmy, they put a lot of money on these fights and they were probably very angry. I thought that was a terrible reaction.
Of course. I mean, his nose was definitely broken. His auricle bone might be, or his jaw, because in his right side, it looked like his jaw was swelling, and it looked like the swelling of a broken jaw, and that's never good. But props to him. The kid showed big heart. But I agree. I thought Cunningham was giving him the perfect advice in the corner too. Yeah, he just wasn't adhering to it.
Jimmy, go ahead, Gonzalo.
Oh, sorry. A little bit of a delay. I was a little distracted with that Ryan Garcia fight because I was also watching 2 screens. But the way after the fight finished and the tall kid, he expressed himself, Sebastian Fundora, he was well put together, man. If that fight wouldn't have been stopped, you could just surmise that the guy would have just continued doing what he was doing inside of the ring. The guy was still lively, man. Lubin was a little bit more dejected. Obviously, all the punishment he took. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, and I rewatched the fight before I called you guys, and the swelling in Lubin's face was not that bad for the first 5-6 rounds. After the 6th round, there was the normal swelling and puffiness underneath both eyes, which is normal for when you get scraped up like that. It was between the 6th and the 7th when he got scraped up really bad, and then it really got pronounced all over the place in between the 7th and 8th. And I don't know if you remember that classic episode of Martin when Martin fought Tommy Hearns. Remember that one for a charity boxing match? And Martin said, yeah, the get hit man, because he was hitting on Gina. And then there was that famous scene where Martin got all lumped up by Tommy Hearns. There's some pictures of it you can find. That's kind of what it reminded me of, but I'm glad Kevin Cunningham threw in the towel when he did.
Yep, yeah, I agree 100%. And I think at the end of the round, at that round when he hurt Fundora and Fundora got up and he survived the round, I think it was almost like dejected. Like he knew that was he blew his load there, and he came out and instead of like really hunting down, he almost kind of like he almost gave up at that time, and not in a bad way, but I think he knew he blew his load in that last round.
Yes. Like you see, like Tyson Douglas. You can argue all you want about the long count, this or that. As soon as Buster Douglas got out, he hammered Tyson in rounds 9 and 10. There are fights where if you have that one opportunity to turn it around and score, like I don't want to say miracle KO, but that turnaround stoppage, and as soon as that window shuts, guys, it's over.
Yep, I got the same feel from that last night.
How do you guys see Fundora doing against someone like a guy like Tim Tszyu, for example?
I'll give myself a little credit. I'll call myself Kim Stradamus. I said before the Terrell Gaucher fight, and I saw it last year, Tim Tszyu is a lot like his father, which is good and bad. He's got heavy hands, probing jabs, straight right hand. Also very susceptible with his upright torso and his stiffness with overhand rights. He's not great defensively. And unless Tim Tszyu can completely box and keep things at a mid-range or a long distance, I think Fundora is live against any 54 with his activity. I'm not saying he's unbeatable. I don't think anyone has a tough night, an easy night against him.
Yeah, you got to pack a lunch. You're in for a fight,
and
no matter
dinner.
Who you are. Yeah, exactly, and dinner. No, I agree. I'd go in, and right now, if they were to fight next, I'd pick Fundora going into that fight after what I saw from Tszyu.
Whoa.
Interesting.
I mean, I gotta tell you, that Fundora is gonna be interesting to see his career, how he develops, and whether he's more a Paul Williams Margarito type fella or whether he's gonna end up getting worked over in his next 2 fights. Because the 154-pound division, there's a lot of chinny guys, but there's also a lot of talent there. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with him.
Call me crazy, but I think the hardest fight for him would be another pressure style, like volume puncher, like Castano. But the thing with Castano, he's really, really short. But that pesky style, that Sergio Garcia, the guy that fought Tony Harrison, he gave Fundora a tough fight the fight prior. So that type of style that Brian Castano brings, I think could trouble Fundora, because it would be exchanging between the guy with the longer limbs and the space between against the guy with the shorter, just who can catch who in those exchanges. One has the advantage with the length and the other with the short hands in between. So, that would be a hard fight. But I would favor Fundora because of the size.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, look, it was great joining you. I got to get some stuff done here. I just wanted to check in and say hello. I'm listening as always.
Steve, thanks for calling him, brother, man. I just wanted to say, Steve, before you go, I wanted to say, dude, the Korean Kosel, you are crushing it on with Jason Whitlock, dude. I never miss an episode, dude. I got the set reminder on. You're doing it. You guys, if you guys haven't seen that, check that shit out, man. That is some good shit.
Oh, I appreciate that. We have great fun doing that. I'll be on probably tomorrow and Tuesday before I travel a little bit. By the way, guys, let's go one last thing. Anyone here picking Ugas with the upset special next week?
Ooh. Jimmy, you want to take that one? Because I'm undecided.
Yeah, I actually, going in last time we talked about it, I was leaning towards Ugas. I really was. I think that with the length and stuff and the longevity out of the ring, I mean the time out of the ring for Spence, I think Ugas could beat him. Will he get the decision in PBC land? That's a different story. Yes, exactly.
It's already 30-27, Jimmy. Let's be honest. We know the politics that exist for each promoter. Here's the case for Ugas. Okay, he's a skilled boxer, very educated left hand, which lines up right into the right eye of Spence, which has certainly been an issue. We all know about that. The other thing is, this is the wild card. We talk about who are the great trainers in boxing. Look, anyone could have the best fighter in the world or a great blue chip stable and win every fight when you're a 5 and 10-1 underdog. Ismael Salas consistently, at least once or twice a year, wins a fight that he's not supposed to. That's the mark of a great trainer to me. He's got Ismael Salas, bright boxing man. He's not going to be overwhelmed. And people say, well, okay, he's going into enemy territory. Look, when you face Manny Pacquiao, an all-time legend, I don't know if facing Errol Spence is really going to intimidate you in any way. Also, Errol Spence has not fought since December of 2020, and Ugas has quicker feet. Guys, I'm not saying it's a sure thing, but man, I'm tempted to order the upset special off the menu.
Yeah,
well, that would be
I'm with you 100%.
Hey, Steve, let me ask you one last thing, because somebody donated a super chat. Yeah, somebody donated a super chat, and they want me to ask you. Please ask Steve. Hold on a second. Let me just read this carefully here because something's blocking my view. Please ask Steve. Well, he's asking about who's going to win between Shakur versus Valdez and Kambosos versus Haney.
Okay, as it relates to the fight on April 30th, I will be there. The chalk has to be with Shakur Stevenson, who I believe is just one of the toughest fighters to hit in all of boxing. His understanding of space and distance. And unless Oscar Valdez is willing to give of himself and leave a piece of himself inside that ring, because he's going to get hit with blind shots and walk through the speed and talent, I don't see it unless he pulls another upset as he did with Burchelt. I'm going to stay safe. I like Shakur Stevenson. I don't know who beat Shakur Stevenson between 30 and 35. Ooh. He's not always going to be exciting, but he's always going to be very difficult and tough. As for Kambosos Haney, guys, I think that's much more of a 50-50 fight than people think. Kambosos is an active fighter. He's going to have all the politics and all that other stuff associated with our fine sport in his favor, including the home canvas advantage. And again, let's go back to activity. He's a younger, fresher fighter than Linares, and he probably hits harder than Joseph Diaz. And he's already beat Teofimo Lopez, who's a much more physically stout puncher. I don't see why people are not giving Kambosos much more of a shot here. I know it was a bit of a Cinderella story and an upset that he pulled off, but certain guys after victories like this get a little bit better. So keep that in mind. Also, I know this for a fact. Haney kills himself to make weight. That's why he gets hurt late in fights. I think that's a 50-50 fight.
Interesting. Very interesting. So shout out to Rafael Garza for his questions there and his contribution. And Steve, as always, thank you for dropping by, man. Don't forget to check out Steve Kim's K9's Corner over at snack.com. You can also check him out daily, and I do mean daily, over at Twitter, constantly tweeting there about everything, anything and everything. That's good. That's good. We need more Steve Kim on Twitter about anything and everything. Highly entertaining. You can also check him out with Jason Whitlock over at The Blaze. Shit, I don't have that link here. And don't forget to check out the 3 Knockdown rule. I think, are you guys coming back next week, or it's this week that you don't have a show?
Yeah, Mario's making millions filming a Christmas movie here in the middle of April in Nashville. You know, poor guy. Yeah, if it wasn't for this, we'd be starting a GoFund account for him, poor fella. But yeah, so we're going to miss a week, and we'll be back the week after, though, guys.
Fantastic. Good to hear, man. Steve, thank you again, man. I always appreciate you.
All right, have a great Sunday. I'll be listening in the rest of the show, guys. Thanks.
All right, thanks, man.
Take it easy, Steve.
I was watching some Saved by the Bell yesterday, the new one.
Yeah, but and again, guys, especially because it's a mix of sports and today's politics, you guys should definitely check out the Jason Whitlock show. They call him the Korean Coast Style. That's what Jason Whitlock calls him, and it's good shit, man. Really is. Worth the watch.
Sometimes I wonder, Jimmy and Gazelle, what happens if I start doing this show doing that Cosell voice? Is that too creepy or too pretentious, perhaps? Down goes Sally. All right, listen, we've got a lot to get to still here, man. Well, we talked about the Golovkin fight, but I do want to hear for some, because it was pretty, it was a bizarre show last morning. It was in the morning. Most people are used to that.
Yeah.
So we're going to open up the phone lines here so everybody can call in and give us their point of view on that and on everything else that happened. Hey, also, Buccio wanted to bring this up too, the Rosado Mosley Jr. I didn't see that one coming. How about you, fellas?
Oh, no, that's a good fight. Yeah, Mosley Jr. is all right. He's improved.
He's a good kid. No, but seriously, I mean, fucking Rosado, I thought Rosado was going to ice him at some point. Do you guys think Rosado fell in love with that big right hand? Because he didn't seem to be working all that much in there.
Yeah, Rosado, I mean, it cannot be the last time we see him, though.
No.
I mean, come on. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just, he'll take any money, guaranteed, he'll fight and he'll show up. He's going to make you work and stuff, but come on. I mean, for Christ's sakes, I mean, he's lost, 9 fights in a row. You can't sign, you mean to tell me there's not another fucking 160-pound fighter without as many losses to put in there? It's surprising that they keep recycling this dude.
I mean,
yeah, he wanted to close strong to show the people that he was there to win, to show the people that he's an exciting fighter. But for the most part, in the beginning of the fight, throughout the course of the fight until the very end when he did what I just mentioned, he was just there like he's always is. Just enough to lose. Where, man, do we really want to see him again, like Jimmy's saying?
That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised you guys are that averse to watching Rosado again. I mean, I kind of have a soft spot for guys like him, the gatekeepers, the guy that had to work part-time or even full-time and train part-time.
And I'm not saying don't let the kid fight, but constantly headlining fights, you know what I mean? Like, he's somebody you test somebody on the up, coming on the up. No, I just think to test him against, put him against, I mean, he did stop that other dude. He knocked that other dude out, caught him with that shot, but after a while, you would like to see something a little different in there, but we'll see what's going on. Hey, I just want to say real quick about Triple G, because you brought him up, and I made the sad mistake of going on Twitter yesterday. I just got to say, the fucking hate that dude gets, it's just outrageous. The stupid shit that is said about that dude. The hate for him in a certain boxing demographic it's almost manic.
Yeah, man, I mean, it is. I'm not surprised. I that's why I go on Twitter sparingly, because I'm not conditioned yet to Twitter. I'm conditioned to other worse places than Twitter. For some reason, when I go on Twitter, maybe it's because on Twitter it's easier to reply to them, so you fall into the trap of wanting to reply to some of the trash that's out there. But yeah,
Gazelle, vile cesspool.
Yeah, Gazelle, you want to say something? Or?
Man, it's a different story. It's like with Golovkin, he was getting pieced up in moments that if you're watching from your screen, you're thinking, man, dude, that sucks. And if you hate the guy, you're probably saying to yourself, man, he's getting fucked up. Look at him. He's trash. Haha. But no, look, he's going to dish out a worse beating to you than the beating he's taking. And if you're in the ring, man, dude, fighters don't want to go through that. They don't want to face that shit, man. They don't want to face the type of punching power he brings. Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking at it from the TV of it, he's getting pieced up at times. But to be in there in the ring with him is a different story, man.
Absolutely, it's unseen. The power he has. Some people go, well, how come he was hitting Murata early on and he couldn't knock him out? It's like, dude, Murata is a strong middleweight. He's got that Japanese, I hate to stereotype, but it is true. He's got that Japanese never say die style. And it took Golovkin a while to chop him down, but chop him down he did. And I would be curious to ask.
He's never been stopped before, right? Murata, he's never stopped before.
No, never.
Never.
And that's why I would like to ask some of these guys. Who else do you think at this point, top 10 middleweight, could do what Golovkin did last night? I'd love to hear that.
According to Twitter, he was an unknown bum.
Yeah.
An Olympic gold medalist, 2-time world champion is an unknown bum.
Well, listen. I agree that he wasn't the best opponent out there. But to dismiss him as a bum, that just shows the lack of knowledge some of these guys have. It's the easiest response in order to try to win some sort of discussion. Oh, well, this guy sucks. Oh, well, who is that guy? That guy sucks. You can do that with anybody. I even did it in another podcast. I did the same thing as a theoretical experiment with Sugar Ray Leonard. I broke down his record and said, well, this guy, Herons, who did Herons beat in the first fight? Pepino Cuevas, that's it. That's the type of arguments these guys do. Well, who did he beat? He didn't beat anybody, and he almost lost, and blah blah blah. It's disgusting. But
I know that he almost lost. That's wonderful. I know that you love hearing that. Well, he almost lost. It's like the Wilder fans when they say, "But Wilder knocked him out in the first fight." I mean, he got up, but he was out cold. It's like, so what? And if my uncle had my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. What the fuck are you saying?
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, don't. Yeah. Well, nowadays that wouldn't be.
One of the best defense. One of the best defensive things to have is like punching power. So when you have punching power, that's great for your defense because you're keeping the other guy busy where he's not throwing punches back. So Golovkin can punch hard and keep his opponent busy. The opponent's got a lot to deal with, so the opponent can't throw punches because he's got to be aware of like, man, GG's punching me like really hard. Like let me defend myself. But at the same time, if the opponent does decide to throw a punch, guess what? What's the backup? Golovkin got the chin, so he can absorb the shot and keep on punching. So man, Golovkin is dangerous. He's real dangerous. People don't see that too clearly. I don't know why.
Well, they don't want to see it. They don't want to see it. Everything you said, Gonzalo, they don't want to see it. And they don't want to hear it either. And that's fine. That's all right. I have a lot to get to here. So shout out to Texas Bulldog for his contribution with the super chat. He says, the only way to beat Fundora is break your ribs mindset. A break your ribs mindset. Yeah, that's Lubin tried to do that. He tried to go into the body. It just wasn't working out, man. I mean, what do you guys think? Is he going to take some sort of like a Shane Mosley type fighter, like what he did to Margarito, which is to smother him on the inside and just whack him with overhand rights to the body and upstairs, just break him down? Or because I don't think that many people have the firepower to do that.
You need to jab to his midsection. I'd fire fucking jabs off at his midsection. And the minute my jab landed on his midsection, I'd spin out and then throw a looping shot to his head. But whatever I would do, I would not stand in the pocket with that kid. You're just nuts. Because like Steve said, he described it perfectly. All his power comes from the elbow forward, the 6-inch punch. It doesn't look like there's much on it, right? It just looks like he's snapping them away. But he's practiced that so much that he gets so much power on those. It might not look it to the eye, but they're damaging shots.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be a wild ride to see this kid because he's freakish looking, and when I say freakish, I don't mean that it's strange. I'm saying it is bizarre. It's unsettling. It's something out of the Twilight.
Unsettling.
It is. I don't know.
I gotta say, he seems like a humble kid too. He seems like a pleasant kid, right? He seems like a nice kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to him fighting.
He's ready. He's ready now because he's hit his stride. Confidence-wise, he's there. Boxing-wise, he's there. So this performance allows him to believe in himself more now. I think he gained the belt. So I mean, yeah, the guy's a force to be reckoned with. He's good, man.
Absolutely, Jimmy. I got a little background noise coming from your end.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Let's go to a phone call here. Phone call. Phone lines are open, fellas. Make sure to call in. Hold on a second. Let me unmute this. 678. You're on the air. 678. What's on your mind?
Hey, panel. Quick comment here, BDA. I just want to say that's awesome when you have Steve Kim on, man. It's like a testament to your hard work and what everybody in the panel has. So that's fucking awesome.
Well, thank you, man. We always appreciate Steve coming in and giving us the inside scooperoo in some of the comings and goings in boxing, man. Thanks again, Soothsayer.
Absolutely, Soothsayer.
Absolutely. And another thing, so they say that you're only as good as your last fight. Before this fight was to go, people were saying that Ryan had that really strong, the power. He couldn't put him away. So what does this mean now? He doesn't have the power, or to go was just, has a chin?
No, Taco just didn't want to fight. He just was like, he was a sprint. It was a marathon. He was doing everything he could not to make it a fight. And every time he caught him clean, which wasn't often, that had a lot to do with ring and pot shotting and not using his jab to set up his punches. When he caught him clean, almost every time he hurt him. Even if he didn't do the crip walk, he was hurt. And that's the reason why he didn't want to have anything with that fight.
That's right, Soothsayer. I think that had some, and I also think he started losing steam down the line. He couldn't sustain it. Although he did hurt him late in the fight, but it's just there was some slapping going on. That's what I noticed. I'd have to rewatch the fight there. But Soothsayer, what else, man? What did you think of his fight spirit and his future?
Well, his entrance was underwhelming, Ryan. I expected him to come out like in a flying carpet with like a crown, the whole king thing. He just came out by himself. It was kind of lame.
Oh, come on, don't tell me you're all for that pomp and circumstance type of Prince Nassim Hamed style. Is that what you want?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I expected to hear the boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Let's spend the night together.
I don't know what that is.
Boom, 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 boom.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Can I say the 15,000? Steve said there was 15,000 people there last night. That's incredible.
Yeah, man. Hey, by the way, this is actually the next song he's gonna come out to for his next fight. I got the inside scoop on this one. That's just a little preview right there. That's what I heard. I don't know.
Hey,
ABBA or Bette Midler.
Did y'all see the Ryan vignette with that whole production behind him? Did y'all see that?
No, I skipped those, man. I do something else with their play. But yeah, I saw you in the Discord. You said it was cheesy.
That shit was lame, man. Him and his dad, I'm telling you, man. They take themselves way too fucking serious.
Wouldn't surprise me, man. I don't know. The Zone, they're doing some experimental things there.
Lastly, guys, thank you for throwing that morning show like that, man. That was fucking awesome. I had a long day of work, and that really made the time go by fast. But y'all have a great Sunday, and keep up the good show.
Thank you, Soothsayer. Always appreciate your support, man. Thanks again for calling in, man.
Thank you, Soothsayer.
Peace out.
Take it easy, yeah. Don't forget, fellas, the number is on the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Call in. Phone lines are open. I also put up a StreamYard for international callers, those of you that are outside of North America. So let me drop the link here on the chat, or in the chat, rather. And you guys can come in here as well and give us your thoughts on the fights. So, yeah, man, a lot of fights last night. Rosado getting upset. Shane Mosley Jr. pulling off the upset. Got to give him credit. He put how familiar are you guys with Shane Mosley Jr.? Because I don't know much about him. Is he fighting because he really loves it, or is he trying to impress his father, or what's going on with him?
Not so much that I know about him. I just saw his record. He's got 4 losses. I think he lost to Aaron Pryor Jr. He's got 20 wins, 4 losses. Pretty good KO ratio. So what I saw, I can't really gauge you 100% because we don't know. Because obviously we know that Rosado's not elite. So I mean, it was a good performance, but it wasn't against an elite guy. So it's hard to say how good he really is.
Yeah, you're right about that because he outboxed Rosado. You know who also outboxed him? Charlo, a couple of years ago. One of the Charlos. So it's hard to gauge exactly what happened there. Maybe Rosado had a bad night. I don't know. It could be. Hold on a second here.
And there was another fight too, wasn't there? There was an undercard fight. I forget which one it was on. It was pretty good.
Venetian versus I forget the guy's name. You mean the Armenian guy on the Zone versus the guy who failed?
that wasn't a bad scrap. Yeah, the Armenian kid.
His opponent, I forget his name, but he tried to do the Nassim Hamed thing by jumping into the ring. And he fell.
Yeah.
That was a bad omen.
Bad for him.
Yeah, he was a bad omen, man. Don't try to. It's very hard to do that, from what I understand, because you got the gloves on, you got the trunks, those big ass, those long trunks, man. They're like basketball shorts. Do you think that affects the mobility when it comes to acrobatics, or?
Yeah, he missed it. I mean, he could have got away with it if he just, rolled. If he just, but he could have made it seem like that's what he wanted to do if he tried. But yeah, no, that was a bad omen. I would have been like, oh shit, things aren't starting off right. I don't like the stoppage. Was that the stoppage I didn't like? I didn't like that. I thought the ref jumped in too soon. I thought the ref did a great job with the Fundora fight. It was because of the height. It was going to be low blows just because of his height, but he wasn't calling. Everything was on the brim, and he was letting them fight it out. I mean, like Mayweather's ref, I always forget his name. He would be a horrible fucking ref for Fundora because some refs just tend to break people up too quick. Don't let them fight out of the clinch and don't let them fight inside. Any grab and they jump right in. So I thought he did a good job last night.
And by the way, I have to apologize. It's not. I keep saying Avanesian, Azat and Hovannisian. He's put on some good fights, fairly interesting fights at 122 this past couple of years. So got to give him a shout out. Pulled off the win last night. Apparently, there was some bad blood between those guys. That's what the commentators said, and I hadn't been paying attention.
Yeah, in the press conference, he was the other kid he beat was running his mouth pretty good, saying a lot of silly things. Also, want to say real quick that Canadian kid Cody, the welterweight. I remember we were talking about him a couple of weeks ago. I guess he's fighting on the undercard next week or a couple of weeks with the Spence Ugas fight.
Yeah, who's he fighting again?
So he's officially with the PBC then. I don't know. I forget. Can't remember who he's fighting, but he's definitely a PBC fighter now, though, if they got him on that.
It's, by the way, anyway, we got to take a couple of phone calls, but don't remind me that I want to talk about a rumored fight that's being talked about here, obviously, between Thurman and the guy that lost to Crowley. What was he? Akdamaliev, I think. And I'm thinking, why are they going to put him in there with the loser? Anyway, don't remind me to talk about that, but let's go to the phone calls here. We got some people calling in. Phone lines. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
Yo, BDA, do you hear me good?
A little bit. You're going to have to speak up there, MMA champ, because I can barely hear you.
Okay, yo, you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so listen, right, Ruben is not Haitian anymore. I'm revoking his green card. I'm calling ICE back to the border he goes. You know, I mean, listen, he looked terrible. He got dropped. He has no chin, and this kind of makes Jermell Charlo's win over him look worse, right? You know, because how very good is his chin, right? And he was able to beat Rosario. So if he was able to beat Rosario, then that makes Jermell Charlo's win over Rosario look even worse, right? So, I mean, you know, and then now we got, barbershop conversations or bald barbershop conversations saying that what's his name? Fundora's gloves were loaded. He literally uploaded a video saying, "Were Fundora's gloves uploaded? The black race needs to be aware." So I mean, come on, man. This is, it's sad.
Wait a minute. Somebody, did you say 78? Did you say Barbershop Quartet or Conversation said, posed the question, was his gloves loaded? He really put that video out there?
Yeah.
Wow, what a piece of shit.
You can look at his YouTube channel. It says that's the first video I think you can see. So, I mean, this is how delusional they are. Their guy loses and they're going to say Fundora had loaded guns? Really?
Oh,
I mean, Fundora looks like a nerd. Like, come on, you think he's really going to load stuff? But anyway, so, the Mexican Slender Man. I mean, Fundora is so tall, he can just walk right over the border. So...
Oh, jeez. MMA Chef, he's throwing out all the stereotypes out there.
That's true.
Shout out to Fundora, and let's get to Ryan Garcia. His LGBTQ power couldn't hold up this time. I mean, come on, bro. Ryan Garcia really let me down. I was a fan of him, and I heard Ryan Garcia was supposed to be walking out with RuPaul. I don't know how true that was, but...
Okay, come on. That wasn't true.
It looks like it fell through. But Ryan Garcia, I mean, let's look at this. Where was his jab, first of all? I mean, come on. Where was this kid's jab? He wasn't really... He kept, loading up his punches. Ryan Garcia gets beat by all the top, fighters at 135.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I used to think, maybe Ryan Garcia could beat Devin Haney. I was like, yeah, maybe. But now I'm confident Devin Haney beats him. I'm confident Cambosis beats him. I'm confident Loma beats him. I'm confident Tank knocks him out, to be honest. I think Tank knocks him out, to be honest. But because defense is just too leaky, man. It's too leaky, bro. And he didn't even change when he had, when he has a new trainer. Ryan Garcia seems like the type of guy, when you give him, criticism, he's ready to jump off a building, So, I mean, come on, man.
Well, you know what? Now
get together.
Now you're gonna push people to give him more criticism, so he can actually, toss himself off that building. But MMA champ, what else, man? We gotta move on to another call. But what else? Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Okay, I want to see. Shout out to my son King Bucho. Came a long way.
We came a long ways. All right, that was MMA champ calling King Bucho his son. Apparently, see, that's how you do a fight. MMA champ's been. I think he writes down his. Some people are saying he writes down material before he comes on, but whether he writes it down or makes it up as he goes along, I gotta tell you, that's how you do some subtle humor right there, man. I liked it. All right, shout out to MMA champ. Let's go to an international call here. We got Kenshiro calling all the way from the UK, I believe. Unless he's somewhere else, I don't know. Kenshiro, you there? Kenshiro, can you hear me? Hold on a second. Hopefully I got everything's working here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey, guys, can you hear him? Just want to make sure because he's on stream here then.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Kenshiro, what's up, man? Thank you for calling in, man. What's on your mind?
First, thank you very much for doing StreamYard for sort of us non-Americans. So I really appreciate it. I don't have any other YouTubers to do that. So that's the first one to say thank you very much for that.
No problem, man. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the shotgun. You guys saying somebody said something?
No, go ahead, man. The floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So yeah, okay. So I saw obviously the Triple G match against Murata. I mean, yes, Triple G came on very good in the second half, but sort of part of me was thinking, if that was Canelo, I don't think he would have allowed Triple G to get out of those danger zone early rounds. I think Canelo probably would have finished him, or it would have just got worse for worse. I mean, obviously Triple G came on stronger as the fight bore on, but I don't think Canelo would have allowed him to get back into the fight and would have just finished him. That's my gut feeling. I personally think that if Canelo beats Bivol, I think Canelo should just fight Berbatov, if Berbatov or whoever wins, Smith or Berbatov. And if Triple G wants to cement himself, I don't know if he can do it now, to try to go for undisputed middleweight and then finish his career as well, because I got a bad feeling if he fights Canelo, it's not going to be as close as the first and second fight. I could potentially can get late stoppage by Canelo and just make his career end on a bit of a sour note.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't know, man. It's I'm still looking forward to that one. But people in the chat room are saying you're speaking facts, nothing but facts. So I hey, why not? Let's make it happen. That's what I say.
I mean, the only good thing if Canelo fights Triple G, then if he does fight Berbatov, if likely Berbatov wins, obviously Smith could win, then obviously Berbatov's getting a bit older by another 6 months on top, whatever. I mean, I don't know if Canelo might fight Berbatov end of the year, but obviously all the cards got to fall in place. One, he's got to beat Bivol, then he's got to beat Triple G. I think him beating Bivol is harder than him beating Triple G. I think if he beats Bivol, he should beat Triple G. That's just my opinion.
Huh. All right. Well, that's an interesting path of right there. And you never know what's going to happen in boxing. The 2021 was the year of the upsets, and 2022, some of that is still trickling up to 2022. So I guess we'll see what happens. Kenshiro, anything else on your mind?
No, that was it. I mean, I saw the Ryan Garcia match. I mean, it was good to see. Well, I mean, in terms of he was actually trying to finish the guy off. It's not like boring Devin Haney sort of thing. He actually went out there to try to finish. Obviously, the other guy wasn't engaging as such, but at least he was trying to finish the fight off. So it was, props to Ryan Garcia in that capacity.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, listen, hopefully he gets his act together, because he could bring in some drama, Ryan Garcia, with his star power. But he's 23 years old. There's still a lot to work on. So hopefully, for his sakes, he ends up tidying it up. All right, well, listen, Kenshiro, good hearing from you, and drop by on Friday, man. Open Lines Friday. Make sure you're there.
Will do. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you,
guys.
man.
Stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, man. All right, man. That was Kenshiro there. Let's go. Wait, did I hear somebody? I thought somebody was going to say something. All right, let's go to a phone call here. Who do we got here? 832, you're on the air. 832, what's on your mind?
Y'all can hear me? Y'all can hear me?
Absolutely, man. What's on your mind?
All right, bet. Shit. I want to talk about the Errol Spence versus Ugas fight. Who y'all got?
I mean, Jimmy, you said Ugas?
Well, right now I'm kind of leaning towards Ugas for a few different reasons, but all the ones that Steve said. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you got Jimmy.
What do you got, caller?
Yeah, who do you got, caller?
All right, bet. Me, I want to go with Errol Spence, but a part of me is saying that Ugas might have a one up on him right now. Like, I don't know.
Well, caller, he's got better feet, without a doubt.
You said what?
Well, Ugas got better feet. Ugas, he's got much better feet. Actually, he's got excellent feet, and he's got a great left. He's very well technicianed, and he's coming off a big fight. Like Steve said, nothing's going to get you more excited and more like eyes on it than Manny Pacquiao. So he's coming off a big fight. Spencer's been on the shelf for a long time. He's coming off a bad eye, and he's going to, right in line with that left hand that Ugas has. Whether the judges give it to him, but this way, I'm kind of looking right now in my mind's eye that it's honestly that Ugas will probably win on points, but lose it due to crafty judging.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of like giving Spencer a good chance. What are you gonna say?
Well, no, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was giving him a good chance, but then I don't have much of an injury type of do it to like I don't really talk about the car accident or whatever, but that eye injury, I think shit. I don't know how it's gonna hold up, but Ugas' right hands. I mean, Ugas, like his right hands, they sound pretty heavy. I ain't gonna lie. Like when you hit Pacquiao with them, you could hear the thump on them. I don't know.
I tell you what, man, it's going to be an interesting fight there, caller. Now, I got to ask you something. This fight's going to be on pay-per-view. Do you think it's on paper, it's the two top or the three best welterweights out there, they're going to be fighting each other. Do you think it's going to be an actually good fight, entertaining, or you think it's going to be a little bit too technical? What are you expecting?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. It could go both ways, but I'm thinking at some point it's going to turn into a firefight. That is my guess. Like, cause look at Ugas and Sean Porter. They had their little moments of like a good exchange. They had their moments where it was technical. You know what I mean? But I think towards the later rounds we're gonna see like a good fight. That's my prediction.
All right. Well, listen, there you got it. We're gonna be talking about that last.
I was gonna ask, who y'all got versus Rolly versus Tank?
I'm saying Tank right now, man.
Yeah, Tank by slaughter. That kid has no business being in the same fucking ring. If you were fighting him, caller, I'd probably put $20 on you. Put it that way.
Oh, wait a minute. All right, well, listen, caller, good questions, man, and good points you made as well. We're going to be talking about this fight more as it goes along, so call back next time, especially during the week as we delve more into this, the Spence versus Ugas fight, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, man? Take it easy.
All right, bet.
All right, don't forget to call in. Numbers right there in the middle left-hand portion of your screen. Let's go to 914. 914, you're on the air. 914, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? What's up, Jimmy? What's up, Gonzalo?
What's up, man?
Fernando from New York.
Ooh.
Fernando, what's up, partner?
It's always good to, you guys are very consistent with the show. Like, I don't think you guys ever miss a weekend.
Well, if there's a fight, we'll try not to. That's for sure, man. We like to entertain people out there with our shenanigans, man. What's up, man?
So, I don't know if you guys remember Abner Mares' eye injury. And when he tried to get back into boxing, he was unable to fight in New York. I think there was like a tentative date for the Barclays. He couldn't get cleared. And then finally, he was going to fight in Texas because the medical clearance is a little bit more lax there. But for some reason, I don't think that fight went down. But do you guys think that part of the reason why Errol Spence is having a home fight is more so due to a lack of, not a lack, but less stringent medical testing than, say, a Barclays or a Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Well, put it this way, Carla. They missed his eye injury the first time because when he fought Danny Garcia, that was in Texas, and they didn't catch it because I believe that 100% that tear came during the accident, and they didn't catch it but in Vegas they did, where they have a more stringent eye exam. So maybe, but I think they cleared it all up because with the injury he had, you can get it in there, and if they have the surgery, which he claims he did, obviously, and they can clear that up. But it's also when you have a surgery in your eyeball and then someone's throwing a punch at that eyeball, I don't care who you are, it's going to be in the back of your mind. Will that affect the way he fights? Or will he be all like, throw caution to the wind and step in there? That's the question.
Yeah.
So look, if Yordenis Ugas is ever going to defeat a fighter like Errol Spence, this is the time. He just fought one of the best southpaws that there is. Yeah, it wasn't the best version of Manny Pacquiao. It was a Manny Pacquiao coming off of a 2-year layoff. Pacquiao was also training more for Spence than Ugas. It might have been a setup. I don't know. There's a lot of conspiracies on how Ugas ended up getting that fight. And people say they saw Ugas sparring a southpaw leading up to that fight. But this is, Ugas, like, this is the last hurrah for Ugas on terms of that big elite stage. He'll always be like a top 5 welterweight in this current era that we're in, but I don't know, man. I mean, I like the dynamics of the fight for 2 reasons, right? So when Spence got into the car accident, he jumped in there with Danny Garcia. Some people could say it's a tune-up, but at least he didn't go for like a Keith Thurman type of tune-up with the Mario Barrios, right? So then this kind of certifies that like he's in somewhat of a reasonably good bill of health after the car crash. Now he's fighting Ugas. So if he does get past Ugas, it kind of brings back some of the luster to the Terrence Crawford bout, if he does win. But, I actually have this fight as like a 55-45. I'm leaning towards Errol, but I don't know what physical state Errol's in, And Ugas, Ishmael Salas is like a mastermind evil genius, like when it comes to upsets.
That's true. He's been pulling out his share of upsets himself. So, yeah, all excellent points there, Fernando. All excellent points, and I'm excited for this card coming up on Saturday, and we're going to talk about it more as it goes along. We're going to move on to another phone call here. They're starting to pile up, but Fernando, thanks again as always. Always good to hear from you, and we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man.
All right, guys, keep it the good work. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Always appreciate your support. Thank you, man. All right, let's go to another phone call. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It always helps us out there. 386, you're on the air. 386, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA and all the bros out there? What's up, fellas?
Action Jackson, what's up, man?
What's up, man? How you doing, BDA? Hope all is well with Jimmy and the boys. Got a couple of things to say about the fight. First of all, I want to touch on the Triple G fight. I thought Triple G, looked pretty much the same as he always does. And I thought, like Gonzalo said, if anything, he might even have been a little quicker on the trigger. He was throwing pretty fast combinations. Maybe his feet slowed down a little, but Murata's a good fighter, and so I wanted to touch on that. I think Triple G is still a live body, and I think he's finally starting to take some of that juice, that good orange juice. You know what I mean? And he's getting a healthy diet of it. And so that was the first point. And I think Bivol is going to beat Canelo. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Jackson, you're preaching to the choir, or at least one member of the choir. I'm with you on everything, man. I think Golovkin is being overlooked. And I do think Bivol, like if I had to bet right now, I would actually bet on Bivol, man. I think there's going to be a monkey wrench thrown in the works here in regards to that Golovkin-Canelo rubber match.
Yeah, and can I say too? Jackson, what's up, brother? I would say too that I think the 160 168 would actually benefit Triple G at this point at his age. He wouldn't have to take off those extra 8 pounds. Makes a huge difference. So that would actually benefit him to go to 168 right now. He could concentrate. He would carry more weight, which obviously keeps you fresh longer into a fight. And one thing, even at 40 years old, his punches still had nastiness on them, even in the later rounds.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so he's still, his power hasn't faded. His power was still legit. I kind of like the way he wasn't so selective with his punches, or not so selective, but when he was got him close, instead of just winging the 1-2, he seemed to like think more about what shots he was going to throw. Maybe he's got him doing that. I think that his last trainer was very basic. Abel Sanchez, 1-2 guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me give you a good example of that. Remember when he was fighting against Canelo, and Abel was like, forget about combinations right now, just keep pounding him with the jab. And now he's not doing that. He's piecing them up. He's throwing probes, 1-2-3s. So I thought Triple G looked pretty good, and I think he's still probably the best middleweight. And if he goes up to 168, I think he'll be even better. And I think, so I just wanted to touch on Bivol Canelo. I just can't see Canelo catching Bivol. I mean, Bivol's going to be going out there like the Russian rocket. Like, I just, Canelo's too flat-footed, and this isn't like an old washed-up Kovalev who's throwing the fight. This is a young guy, and I believe, what's Bivol, 29? And,
yeah, he's in his physical prime.
Yeah, somebody's following me.
Come on, Jackson. You don't think Kovalev threw that fight, bro? Don't say that.
All right. Yeah, Jackson says someone's calling him. All right, Jackson, thank you for your call, man, and always appreciate your point of view, man. Thank you for calling in. Good to hear from Jackson there.
See you.
All right, take it easy, man. Yeah, always good to hear from you, man. Jimmy, what were you going to say? That you don't believe he said what?
Oh, no, I was saying, come on, dude. Don't start with the Kovalev through the fight garbage.
Well, he had to throw that.
Took a dove. I understand, but
that's never going to end, man. We're going to have to, at some point, we are going to have to do a special show just on that, man, because it is one of those things. And listen, I wouldn't be surprised if fighters, because he does handicap fighters, and I'm very curious to see if he's going to be handicapping Bivol in some way, because they're saying that there's no rehydration clause, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well,
anyway,
no rehydration clause, because Bivol's not a big 175. You know what I mean? So, it'll depend. Obviously, he'll want the smaller the ring, the better. That'd be beneficial to Canelo. But again, even though he does crack hard, Bivol's been fighting guys 175 for years. He's accustomed to that weight class. Mm-hmm. And does Canelo punch harder than Joe Smith? Does he punch harder than a lot of the guys Bivol fought? Who knows, right? I don't think so. I probably think pound for pound, just punching power, Joe Smith hits as hard as Canelo, and he's taking his punches. It's going to have to catch him. That's the problem. See, I don't see him one-shotting. The dangers, in my opinion, for Canelo is this. I don't see him one-shotting Bivol. He's just not that type of fighter. It's more of a combination. He's just going to beat you down. But that means he's going to have to catch him more than just once. And that's the rub. Is he going to be able to? Because Bivol's got great feet and can make shit boring, and he has very elusive. So, yeah, this is a big ask of Canelo. And if he does it, man, he deserves all the props he deserves. But if he gets a bogus decision like he did in the first Triple G fight, that'll suck. But again, I won't hold him responsible for that. And also, where's the fight being held in Vegas?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, Las Vegas,
punching, he might punch harder than Joe Smith Jr. to the body because he's short, he's stout, low center of gravity, and it's the Mexican body punch. He's short, so he got that down where he punches really hard to the body. So yeah, he punches hard to the body.
Well, we'll see what happens. All excellent points, fellas, and that fight we're going to be covering it more as it comes near. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to, and don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. How many times I got to say it? Hit the like. Come on. All right, 202, you're on the air. What's on your mind? 202.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
Hey, so I just wanted to address all the people that were hating on Ryan Garcia, man. Like, I think a lot of the haters, getting people to like turn a blind eye to how good he's actually getting. Man, I think he's improved a little bit on his defense. I mean, it's still like some left to be desired, but he looked pretty good in this last fight to me.
Well, I gotta tell you, I did see. So I liked in the beginning how he was looking. He was putting pressure on. He wasn't trying to fight from the outside. He was trying to go out of there. But then, what do you think? Do you, if you did see any weaknesses, what do you think they were, and how can he fix them?
I mean, like I said, I mean, like he always had a little much desired on the defensive side, and I think like he has a tendency to leave itself open, like after exchanges. But other than that, I mean, like I don't know. I mean, I have to revisit it because like I just watched it. Like I typically like to watch a fight 3 times before I can comfortably, like give an analysis. But like I think of face value, I think he looked good.
Well, what'd you like about him?
I mean, like his speed, of course. I mean, like his speed, and like I said, I mean the fact that he has improved it just a tad bit on defensive side.
You know what? In terms of defense, I like Jimmy said earlier in the show, I do agree that he still left his chin up in the air a little bit, but I did see a little what the hell is that? I did see a little change in there. He was trying to roll with the right hand more, and he wasn't as up in the air as he was against Campbell. Jimmy, would you agree with that?
Yes, but the lack of bending, 0 bending at the waist and knees, is not a good look. I mean, again, I saw far more negative things last night than I saw positive with them.
This is the last fight that you would go in there looking for defense, because he fought a guy that was older, slower, with less punching power than he has, so he had no regard for this guy. He would just, from the beginning, he went in there trying to knock this guy out. So if I were paying attention to defense, certainly not in this fight, I wouldn't be looking at that, right?
That's a good point.
I wouldn't even care. Why look at the defense? He's not fighting somebody dangerous.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point. Caller, what do you expect, or what do you want to see from Ryan Garcia next?
To be honest, man, like I don't know. I expect Ryan to be. I'm expecting them to be a little bit more polished. I mean, like as far as like Jimmy said, I mean, like he does have a tendency of fighting tall. Like he fights really tall. Like in his fights, but.
Well, let me ask you this.
I mean,
in terms of
me personally, I think it's like that mentality in me of like me rooting for the underdog, because I know Ryan Garcia gets a lot of slack, and I think that's probably like mostly what it is. But
that's true. Hey, listen. We had a guy named Paulo on the show Friday on the Open Lines show. By the way, Open Lines Friday. Don't forget, people. Open Lines. Anybody can jump on. So make sure to do that if you want to speak your mind. But we had a guy Paulo on, and he was saying,
"Hey, I wanted to touch on."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to touch on the Errol Spence and Ugas fight.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I think I got Spence taking that. I think Spence is going to come out, and I think Spence is going to really shock a lot of people with this performance. And the reason why I think that is because, I mean, like looking at the way Ugas fought. The way he fought, Manny Pacquiao. I think if Pacquiao had the length and the jab that Errol Spence has, it would have been a totally different fight.
Huh? Interesting.
And looking at Ray Robinson, like that fight. If Ray Robinson, was just a little bit more active, I think that fight would have been a little different. Now, one thing that Spence has, is he has a combination of both. He has a good jab, and he's very active. His punch output, is insane, and I think that's going to give Ugas, a lot of problems. And he has one thing that I've seen about Spence is that he has spurts where he shows skills that a lot of people don't necessarily give him credit for. I look at the third round of that Porter fight when he fought Porter, and in the third round he nearly used about every skill that people say that he doesn't possess, which is his lateral foot movement, his ability to be elusive. He showed all of that in just that one round. Now, I mean, it happens in spurts, and I think that he uses these things only out of necessity, which is why I think after some of that punching power went away from some of that steam went away off of Porter's punches, is why he kind of settled in and sat down on some of his punches as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great points, man. And listen, we're going to be talking about that fight more as it approaches. I'm looking forward to it, especially as people like you keep calling in and giving your points of view on that. I'm getting more and more pumped up. So 202, great points. Call back next time, man, especially this week when we cover this fight, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, man?
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. Take it easy out there. All right, real quick, man. Shout out to all the callers and shout out to J-Rod, who donated with the super chat. And he said, Michaela Meyer looked good last night. Salute. Well, you know what? I didn't watch that fight, unfortunately. And I always confuse. Who's Michaela Meyer? Is she the one with the Rasta threads, or is she the one with the
blonde? Hair? She's the blonde chick. She's the blonde girl who was in the Olympics. She signed top ranks girl. I mean, it was a women's boxing match, I just don't like the big gloves and the two. If you're gonna fight 3 minutes, smaller gloves. I think she would have probably stopped the girl Jessica Hahn. She fought. I watched it just because it was on, so I watched it last. But yeah.
Well, good, man. Good. All right. Shout out to Jai for his contribution via the super chat. That's J-Rod watching the Michaela Meyer fight.
Good. I also want to say it's much better than the female fight they had on in DAZN.
Oh,
with the, it was Carla Spreeza or whatever, the chubby chick. She looked all. That was just against the 46-year-old Japanese girl. It was just I don't know. that reminded me more of women's boxing. They were just sloppy and
right.
Yeah.
Well,
at least Michaela, she's a legit boxer. Put it that way.
Yeah, and shout out to Ollie G for his contribution with Super Chat. He says Paulo said Garcia will run through 135 and 160 pounds. I respect the UK brother, he says, but I need to know where he gets his crack rocks from. Come on, now wait a minute. See, now I hope Paulo shows up next open line so he can set you straight, Ollie. Because, look, Garcia, there's a lot of people want to keep talking about him because, yeah, it's true. Look, there was a lot of bad there. But he also, look, I like the fact that he overpowered this. I like the fact that he overpowered this guy. And he made him scared. Yeah, that's you got to.
Dude, he fucking. He also. I mean, the kid's hanging from his rearview mirror. I mean, see how little that dude was. Of course, he overpowered him. He came up to his navel. It was just, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta put it where it is. I mean, a little dude who had no business even being in there. That was just, and again, he was missing with shots he shouldn't have. He was trying to. And when you're going in there, right, and you're in a mindset
Jimmy,
all right, this is the punch I want to take him out with, yes?
Jimmy, so just to interrupt you real quick, 2 seconds, I got to go for about 2 minutes, so you guys take over, all right? Keep going.
Okay, brother. Yeah, no, what's that, Gonzalo?
Yeah, in regards to Garcia, he overpowered him. That's why when the caller, I respect, he made great points about Spence and Ugas, but in regards to, the defensive side of what he says that he noticed, with Ryan Garcia, that he showed better defense, that would be the last thing that I would be looking at, because he overpowered this guy. So therefore, you're not just trying to why swerve away from a punch if you don't have to, because the guy can't hurt you. So I wouldn't even be looking at defense. You're there to win. It's great to try to get away from a punch, But he didn't do that. He just went in there and tried to overpower the guy. Where I give more red flags with Ryan Garcia is like his ability to close the show. He was missing a lot. But with the defensive side now, why focus on that? Since the guy can't hurt you, man, you go in there and try to knock this dude's head off.
Yeah,
you're gonna take risks, and you might look a little sloppy doing it. But at the same time, who cares? Because you're trying to put
his corner. Gonzalo, if you were in his corner last night, you were his trainer, you would have been screaming at him to stop following him straight. Because it's bad habits. Like, you learn to cut the ring off, man. He should obviously he's not training with dudes like running because he has no concept of how to cut the ring off. Well, he even said that to his credit at the end of the interview because I got to learn how to cut the ring off better. He was just walking straight at this dude with his fucking left hand down and that lean back. Now, somebody like Tank who throws somebody, you know what I'm saying, the Mike Tyson style of power, the people who spring up, who are, you know what I mean, they generate the power from driving off the canvas. That's the type of dude who's going to take his head right the fuck off because he leans back, which is the worst thing to do.
It is bad habits, but I think he understands that, Jimmy. I slightly disagree with you a little bit in the sense that I think they're aware because when he went into the corner, he told Goosen, I have no regard for this guy's power. That's what Ryan Garcia said to Goosen. So I think, maybe against a guy like Tank Davis, he wouldn't go in that recklessly. Yeah, he does show that from time to pretty much all the time that he keeps his head in a straight line, that he puts his chin up. But at the same time, I think that he wouldn't be that reckless against the guy that has better punching power.
Well, he might not charge in recklessly forward, but I'm talking about even in an exchange. When he gets hit or buzzed, when you're straight up like that, you know what I'm saying, that back leg completely stiff, and you're just leaning back from the waist, that's like, you know what I'm saying, bro, that's boxing 101. You never lean back. You know how they tell you lean forward, you lean under a punch, you know what I mean? You know when you tie the string of the rope from one turnbuckle to the other, and you go head under it, push up with your shoulder, go back under it, push up with your shoulder. They drill you on that to learn, so you never just pull back. You know what I'm saying? That old exercise that's been around forever. Like you can tell that dude doesn't do that. He has no concept of how to move at his waist whatsoever. I mean, he just leans back, and again, he's been able to do that because of hand-picked opponents. The minute he fights anybody like Campbell, again, Campbell's a distance fighter, so he could get away with that too. But somebody like Tank, who's explosive, who can throw roundhouse, Madonna-type punches, you know what I'm saying? That he caught Floyd with. Those you don't see coming looping over the top. I think he's going to get destroyed if he doesn't make some serious adjustments.
It's interesting.
And I don't know if he's the type of kid who can make adjustments because he takes everything as an insult.
He went in there looking for that Romero Duno, the type of, what's that dude that fought Tank Davis, the guy that he flattened in like 93 seconds. He went in there looking for that type of knockout. And when he didn't get it, that's the red flag. He looked a little frustrated. But as far as defense, I wouldn't go in there trying to look like so neat either, because I'm just going in there to knock this guy out because I have no respect for him. But yeah, but at the same time,
Gonzalo, if he wanted to knock him out, though, brother, right? If he wanted to knock him out, all he had to do was just throw jabs, work behind his jab, throw some 1-2s. The knockout would have come. But he was trying, like you said, to your point, he was looking for the Instagram knockout, the one that's going to be shared fucking 500,000 times on Instagram, the one he kind of just jumps in with that check left hook and catches him. So he had going into a fight, if you have the punch in your head that you're looking to knock the dude out with, that almost never happens because you're looking for it. It's gonna come. It's all reactionary in this sport. And so, yeah, just so many things last night about him I didn't like, and I haven't been shit on him.
That is the saying they use, right? And that's what they use. It the knockout's gonna come, right? Exactly what you just said. That's why they say
exactly.
And you know what? That's what happened. That's what happened with Teofimo Lopez and Camboso's classic example as well. He went looking for the knockout, and it came later on when he tired Cambosos out. But yeah, you don't want to go looking for the knockout like that.
He was looking to one-shot him too. Yeah, he went in there, no respect for this kid's power. Who the fuck is this dude? I'm Teofimo Lopez. I beat Lomachenko. I'm going to go in there and just smoke this lad. And all of a sudden, boom, he got his fucking trunks dirty, and then he didn't know what to do after that.
Hey, fellas, listen, I'm interested.
If you set it up, it will come. No, like the movie Field of Dreams.
Absolutely. If you build it, they will come.
They will come.
Lay it. You need the foundation. You got to lay the bricks to get the foundation.
Oh, look at that! Everyone with the quotes today, on fire. Love it. All right, listen. I'm surprised there's still this much talk about Garcia Tagoe, and I suspect we might have to have, I don't know, put some security measures on Friday's open line show, because if people still want to talk about this by then, it's going to get fiery and spicy. I'm calling it right now. Spicy. All right, listen, fellas, we're almost done here. We're almost got to go. But as always, we appreciate everyone who listens to the show and everybody that calls in and or writes in. And we got to read a couple of emails that people sent, a couple of communiques. So let's get right down to it here. Communiques. There we go. Yeah. People write to us from all over the world. All types of people. We touch all demographics on this show. That's right. Communiques. It's time for communiques. All right. People, you can write to us at the BDA email address that's in the About Us page. I'm always too lazy to just copy paste it and put it here right now, but it's on the About Us page. You can write to us, and we'll try to get to your emails. So that we get bombarded with emails. We're like the Beatles in the 1960s, man. We can't get to all of them. But we do our best. So let's get to it here. We got Ilmac, no address, but Ilmac writing to us. He says, I was losing my shit while watching the Davis Romero press conference. I ain't gonna lie, Rolly's growing on me. He might pull this one off. Hey, you know what, man? He's growing on me too. I don't cringe as much as I used to when he was talking. Guys, what do you think? Do you think he's doing this on purpose? Do you think he's cringe bad or good cringe?
Well, that's not what they were saying when he had all those charges pending against him. Oh, now that stuff got thrown under the bus, yeah, nobody cares now, no.
Exactly, yeah. Hey, listen, I enjoyed that press conference. I'm with Ilmac on this one. That press conference made me laugh. Rolly Romero's trainer is a character too. So is Davis's trainer. Right? We do what we do. We don't talk, we do what we do, with that thick-ass Baltimore accent. Man, I can't wait for the same week press conference, the last press conference they have the week of the fight. That's going to be excellent, man. So, yeah, so shout out to Ilmac. I completely agree with you, man. I think it's going to be interesting. As to whether he can pull the fight off, he better pray for a miracle. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go to Spanky Romero from Las Vegas, Nevada. Spanky Romero, and he says, old man Jimmy keeps slanging on my big brother Rolly. He don't know we got shooters up in this motherfucker. Hold on a second. What is that? Oh, Frankie Sainz. Frankie Sainz, welcome to the BDA Loyal Membership Program. Shout out to Frankie for his contribution, man. Really appreciate it. Frankie boy. All right, so
Rolly's got cousins up. He's sending hitters out, huh?
Well, that's
Tony, you stupid bastard. Am I going to look out my back window and I'm going to see a bunch of whacked out Indians coming across my lawn with machine guns?
Yeah, well, this guy says he's got shooters up in this motherfucker, and he says, keep running your mouth. And then he says, and keep making fun of special needs people, and we'll sue your ass too. We're 21st century N-words. We fight with the sword and the pen. You heard? Well, wait a minute. You can't act gangster and then at the same time say, well, you don't insult special needs people. We care about that. Right, Jimmy?
He's a woke gangster. Fuck out of here.
And he does kind of look, he does resemble Rolly a little bit. I can see the lineage there for both guys.
What, does he have a big forehead and close set eyes?
Well, I'm sharing the screen with you guys. I don't know if you can see you can see the
all right, hold on. I had the phone in my pocket. I was walking.
Yeah, people.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. Yeah, no, he doesn't look Rolly. He's definitely. He looks like a little Rolly gene in the forehead, a little thick. His eyebrows are pronounced, but yeah.
You should spar him, Jimmy. You should spar him. Teach him a couple of lessons, man. A couple of body hook, a couple of left hooks to the liver. That's what I think. All right. Well, listen. That's shout out to Spanky Romero. Good to see he stands up for the woke causes. Let's go to Jack Mitrione from North Carolina, I believe, and he says the name's Jack Mitrione, head of security for Teddy's Bar and Grill in Cary, North Carolina. In any security situation, message of intent is key in dissuading future dissidents from trying anything funny in your establishment. My method is simple. Be as intimidating as possible toward all the patrons, even if you lose them as customers. For example, in a restaurant setting, I like to hover over people's table to get uncomfortably close so that my crotch is at eye level with them. At first, this will lose you customers, but in the long run, they end up returning to your business knowing that you value their safety above everything else. I would love to offer my services to your organization. No need to pay me. The thrill provided by the unnecessary and often violent confrontations I'll be starting will be sufficient compensation. Sincerely, Jack Mitrione. Well, Jimmy, you used to work in security yourself, a little security work. Like, is that type of unorthodox approach something that could work, or?
Well, I wouldn't sit there and fucking put my junk in somebody's cocktail sauce. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be hovering so fucking close. I wouldn't be Joe Biden at kids, But you know what I mean. And as far as intimidation, usually that's when you get that meathead. That's the meathead fucking bounces. Every club has them, and that usually turns people off. You know what I mean? Nothing worse than a bouncer trying to fucking, punk you in front of your girl because he thinks your girl's hot, so he's gonna fucking flex on you.
Exactly. Gonzalo, you used to work in security too. I mean, you were in the military. What do you think? Does this guy sound like a bit of a hothead to you, or should we hire him?
Yeah, he looks crazy. He looks like a cross between Eddie Hearn and Greg Haugen. Yeah.
Well, listen, shout out to Jack Mitrione. We'll give you a test run here. We do need security sometimes. We got a lot of enemies out there, and we don't even do anything wrong, man. We just try to entertain people. So shout out to Jack from North Carolina. This is Gabriel from Mexicali, and he says, I've heard you guys calling Canelo fanboys canelitas. Well, I'm a Canelo fanboy, and I ain't no canelita, but I do have a canelote right between my legs just for you. Chinguen a su madre por culeros. Oh, wait a minute. That's type of language on a Sunday. That's completely uncalled for. You know what? Maybe we should call Jack Mitrione. Old Jack Mitrione, because we do have these guys threatening us. I don't like that, man. I don't like that. And listen, I mean, we respect Canelo over here. We're not diminishing his accomplishments. We're just, and he's fighting the best. We always give him his credit.
Yeah, and remember, guys, I'm an old man, like you said. I'm not going to be rolling around in the cement like a fucking pigeon fighting for a french fry. I'm shooting somebody in the face. Just letting you know. Straight up.
Yeah, Jimmy's in the U.S. and he loves his... Which amendment is that? The amendment for the guns?
That would be the second one, Mr. BDA.
There you go. Hey, listen, I'm not American. What do I know? All right, let's go to...
I know.
All right. This next one comes to us from San Francisco. This is Joey Weisfeld. And he says, you guys motivated me to go to a gym. I even got a personal trainer that's very hands-on. He says my stance too tight, though. He says if I don't correct it, he's going to let me have it. Help me out, guys, and tell me how to fix it. Well, I'll tell you what your problem is right there with your stance. You got your feet parallel, Joey, and that means you're going to be off balance, and a guy just has to tap you once, and you fall over. That's what I'm.
Is that Kodo and his boyfriend?
No, that's some guy's working out, man. But yeah. Well, Jimmy, what do you think about his stance? What about that, guys? What else can he improve there with his boxing stance?
The guy with the wide stance,
the guy
or the dude with his tongue up his ass.
Well, you know what? That's a good question, man. I don't know. All right, let's skip that one. That one's kind of freaking me out a little bit. All right, let's go. This is from Jalbino from Tokyo, Japan. And he says, Naoya Inoue will be one of the top 10 fighters of all time. You heard it here first. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Japanese or have met Inoue-san. He's just a great boxer and an all-around nice guy. In fact, the first time he saw me, he stepped away in disgust and said, "You're the real monster." Haha, he's such a good actor too. He looked genuinely afraid of me and even had hotel security escort me off the premises. Remember, Naoya Inoue will be an all-time great. Well, how about that, guys? A lot of people already feel Inoue is top 3 pound for pound, even though he hasn't really fought recently, but he has accomplished a lot. Do you think if he continues the way he's been going, that he's going to be a top 10 pound for pound guy?
Well, I put it this way, I've taken him out of my top 3 because of his lack of work rate in the competition. The last fight he took was a joke. and it was just to beat somebody up in front of his home crowd. I've been huge on Inoue because just what he has. If they make that Donaire fight and he beats him again, yes, I mean the kid's talented. I think he's reached his limit. Like people say, he should move up to 122 or whatever. No, no, the monster's reached his limit. I believe at 118.
All right, man. Yeah, interesting. Gonzalo, what do you think? Do you think this guy's
He's one of the best of this generation, that's for sure. You can't deny that. It's just a little funny he hasn't fought lately. I wonder what's really going on with him. But I would like to see him fight soon.
Yeah, so would I, man. So would I. Well,
I think Top Rank does it as good or better than anybody right now, and I think they've dropped the ball with that kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Well, at least he's fighting Donaire, but after that, maybe move up and fight Stephen Fulton, or the winner of Fulton versus Roman. That would be a good one. But I mean, what are the chances of that happening? I don't know. But shout out to Jalbino for his contribution, and right back next time, all right, man? And whatever. One last thing.
Does he buy sunscreen in the bulk or?
Oh, come on, Jimmy. Come on, man. These people are writing. Let's not criticize.
All right, I'm sorry. I just wondered. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm just saying. These people write to us, and yeah, okay. This one comes to us from Force You Down, and Force You Down says, "Love the show. I've heard you guys talking about the importance of neck exercises, and I wholeheartedly agree. I was a pro boxer, and even though I lost more than I won, I never got knocked out or even down. They used to call me the White Mike Tyson because of our punching power and our thick necks. Difference is, he got locked up for a crime he didn't commit, and I got off for one I did commit. Gotta love technicalities. Keep up the good work." Well, all right, shout out to Force You Down. What about that, guys? The neck exercise? Because I've heard some people say, no, the neck doesn't help out your punch resistance. It's got to help it somewhat, right? Because it stabilizes
it helps out tremendously. It can't be overlooked how important a strong neck is. Everybody said, Mickey would tell you right straight up, that's why he could take the punches. Conditioning and his insane, which he started in high school, believe it or not, before. He got the neck exercise down from wrestling at Lowell High. And wrestlers have big necks, and that's why he knew he could take a big shot. You know, see those guys with those big neck muscles in the back, you know, the connective. Because remember, when your head snaps, when you get knocked out, your brain moves inside. It sits in a pocket of gel. To get knocked out, for you to get knocked out, all your brain has to do is just barely, ever so slightly touch your skull. And for self-preservation, it just shuts off, like clicking a light switch. It goes out. That's how you get knocked out. That's what happens. When you have it's like think about shock absorbers in the back of your neck, your two neck muscles going down the back of your neck. If those suckers are strong and tight, you can take a big bomb. You can take a bigger bomb than you don't. I mean, I know for a fact I took a better shot when I was doing neck rolls, without a doubt.
Well, there you go. Hey, listen, you got it there from Jimmy. All those people that are saying the neck exercises don't do anything, think twice. And Gonzalo, I don't want to put you out there too much, but you got a thick neck too, man. Like you got a strong core and a strong upper body, like lower neck. I don't know what you call it. Did you ever work that, or are you just like a naturally, strong guy?
I worked out a little bit with the weights before, but I always used to have like a big neck, even when I was kind of chunky. And the body, what is it, the fat ratio? Like if you're overweight, they do these tests in the army that if you're overweight, you have to they have to measure your neck, and if your neck's big enough, you pass that test. But if your neck's not big enough, according to how fat you are, you're suspect. So yeah, I've just naturally always had a big neck.
Interesting.
But I think that's partially to help with the how you take a punch. I don't think it's the end all be all. There's other factors for how well you can take a punch, but yeah, it certainly helps. That's for sure.
All right, well, listen, I want to thank everybody who wrote in. Thanks, guys. Always appreciate it. Don't forget to write to us via the email address that's in the About Us section of the YouTube channel. And that's it for today's Communiques.
And by going by their pitches, thank God for spell check.
Well, listen, a lot of these guys are in. All right, shout out to everybody who wrote in. Yeah, man, don't forget, you can write to us, call in on the open lines Friday, join the Discord panel, everything. This is your house, guys. All right. So with that being said, good show. We had a lot of comings and goings in here.
Is there any shows this week coming up?
Absolutely.
Something during the week, if any news comes up or anything, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday.
Well, yeah, we're always going to try to be open on Tuesday and Wednesdays in case something happens. And of course, we got to cover this Saturday's fights, a lot of fights. In fact, I just found out, I remember Crowley is going to be fighting Josito Lopez on the Spence Ugas undercard. So, man, that's a good card. That's worth the money.
Kid, yeah.
That's worth the money right there, man. All of those fights. And of course, Butaev versus Stanionis. Butaev versus what's his name again? The other guy. This Eastern European names. Hold on a second. Before we go, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Don't forget to hit the like before we leave. Brandon Lee versus Ochoa. Butaev versus Stanionis. Yeah, Butaev versus Stanionis. It's the first names that threw me off. Butaev versus Stanionis. Brandon Lee versus Zachary Ochoa. Isaac Cruz versus Gamboa. I know a soothsayer wants me to do a film analysis on that one. You got Valenzuela versus Francisco Vargas and Crowley versus Josito Lopez. All great fights. And listen, fellas.
Well, okay, Brendan Lee, though. Who's he fighting real quick?
Zachary Ochoa.
Zachary Ochoa. What's that guy's record, man? There's a kid right there who's got, I think, some serious potential. But I'd like to see them move him along. I just wish he wasn't with PBC because they're just going to feed him soft touches until they don't. And that doesn't get him ready for the don'ts. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, man, I'm checking out the guy you're talking about, Zachary Ochoa. Yeah, because look, listen, with the PBC, I've yet to see them bring up a guy out of scratch. Remember, everyone that they had, all the big names, they poached them from the Golden Boy, or most of them from the Golden Boy stable. So Zachary Ochoa, I've seen him before. He fought Eric Martin. No, wait, he lost against Montrealer, Yves Ruiz Jr. Did I see that fight? Yves Ruiz is kind of good. But he lost his last fight to Juan Jose Velasco. Anyway, we'll see, man. I have to see him on.
I think if I'm not mistaken, he might have been a Golden Boy prospect at one point.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Puerto Rican.
Yeah, but he's already got some losses and stuff. Against,
that doesn't mean anything.
What's his punching? What's the KO percentage? That's what I'm curious.
7 knockouts out of 21 wins.
Yeah, so he's not exactly a puncher either. That's another thing. Just step it up, man. That kid's that talented. You're not doing him any favors continually feeding him guys that he's, handpicked dudes to look good against.
Uh-huh.
Just saying.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I got to refresh my memory on Ochoa, see how he fights. That's the most important thing. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Listen, we'll keep on talking.
That other kid, Valenzuela, that's El Rayo, no? The guy that works with Benavidez, his father.
Uh-huh.
Up in Seattle, so he's pretty good too. He's fighting El Bandido Vargas. Is that the one?
Yeah.
You're talking about Francisco Vargas?
Yes.
Yeah, that guy's older. He cuts easy. He's smaller. The other guy's a power puncher. He's kind of food for that guy. So I expect El Rayo Valenzuela to knock probably Francisco Vargas out.
Uh-huh.
It's just a bigger guy facing a smaller, older guy. So
Vargas is shop-worn. Francisco Vargas, this ain't 2015 anymore, man. That guy's he's out the door. But listen, we're gonna talk about all of that.
So is it Lipo, whatever his name is. That dude is fucking. That dude's needs a lot of WD-40. Put it that way.
Oh, you talking about Josito Lopez?
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, the what was it? Something Rocky.
The Riverside Roxy.
Yeah, the Riverside Roxy. Yeah, come on, dude. Last time that dude was really on top of shit was 2014.
He's been around forever, but I don't think he's not older than Crawford and those guys. He's kind of around the same age as those guys, like 33.
Yeah, but his style wasn't. He's taken a lot of shots, and he just hasn't aged well. I know the last 2 times I've seen him, he looked good first couple of rounds, and then he just faded quick. So, but it's good. It's a good match for this kid, Cody
Crowley. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, man. Good card.
I'm not paying for that shit, but whatever.
Oh, come on. By the way,
I'm not buying any more PBC fucking pay-per-views. Done.
Yeah, I got you. Shout out to Rampack Striking Company in the chat. He says, Second Renaissance, gonna look you up on Odyssey. Yes, check us out on Odyssey now. We moved the channel there. I mean, we're still gonna be doing shows on YouTube with the Second Renaissance, but the Odyssey, freedom of speech, you can play whatever. They got more lax copyright losses there. So you can play things. You can actually analyze fights. In fact, check out Thunderdome. He moved his channel over there too. I mean, he's still on YouTube, but he's doing film analysis over there. He can do whatever he wants when it comes to watching fights. So go check that out and go check out the Second Renaissance as well on Odyssey. Odyssey. There you go. It's written Odyssee. All right, check it out.
Oh, what's the name of it again?
Oh, Odyssey. Oh, you motherfucker. All right, listen, that's enough of this, man. I'm going to have to set you guys straight. Listen, thanks again to all of you guys. Jimmy, Gonzalo, Stu was here earlier. Stu. Steve Kim.
Yeah, he did a drive. He did a drive-by. He did a drive-by paneling.
Yeah, drive-by paneling. Shout out to Steve Kim as well. Shout out to Steve Kim. Don't forget to check him out on Twitter over at snack.com. Don't forget to check out the 3 Knockdown Rule on, it's on Triller too, I forgot to say. That's where I usually watch it, because I like watching it on video. I'm spoiled. I can't just listen to a podcast. I need to watch it.
Yeah, that's right. They're putting it on YouTube through Triller. That's right.
Yeah, Triller. And he's over with Jason Whitlock over at The Blaze as well. They call him the Korean Cosell. And thanks again to everybody who donated with the Super Chat, everybody that called in, everybody that wrote in. And of course, finally, everybody who listened in the chat here, Bacon and Eggs, Kevin Fuentes, Marcy D, Fast Car, Rapax Trucking Company, Boxing Archives and Facts, Boxing Learner, and many more people. Guys, you know who you are. We do have to go, but you guys know who you are. Don't forget to check us out on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Folks, take it easy. Thanks for watching.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time. I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone. Totally disappointed in everyone.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Let me tell you what.